Chapter 2434. The Longbow King's mind went blank. Heavens! How is this possible? His seven gods archery technique was a heaven-grade archery technique. Its power was incomparably terrifying. If the 5 arrows shot out at the same time, they would be able to kill a peerless powerhouse of the same level. However, they could not do anything to the other party. In fact, they did not even cause any damage to the other party. Instead, the other party grabbed them tightly. Look, doesn't that palm look like the palm of the legendary Sky Rock? An old man asked in a low voice. The others looked over carefully, and then they were extremely shocked. Indeed, the claw looked too strange. It looked like the claw of a demonic beast. Upon closer inspection, it did look very similar to the legendary Sky Rock. Sky Rock was one of the peerless beasts of ancient times. It was extremely terrifying. Legend had it that it fed on dragons. No one had truly seen it before. However, the Sky Rock dragon technique was passed down. It was said that the Golden Rock race was the descendant of the Sky Rock. They knew the Sky Rock dragon technique and could kill flood dragons. Moreover, there were also peerless figures in the human race who created a terrifying technique based on the Sky Rock race's dragon technique. It was probably the Sky Rock hand and the Sky Rock dragon technique. No wonder it's so terrifying. Everyone was shocked. Indeed, the Heavenly Rock's dragon unleashing technique could even kill a flood dragon, let alone 7 arrows. Are all the people from Immortal Palace so terrifying? They actually know such a terrifying technique. These people were shocked. The Longbow King's expression was extremely gloomy. He did not expect the other party to break through his 7 gods archery technique. Damn it! A hint of madness appeared in his eyes. Humph! It's not over yet. Die! He roared with a ferocious expression. When the surrounding people saw this scene, their expressions changed drastically. Oh no, he's crazy. These people fled one after another because they had already guessed what the Longbow King was going to do. In the next moment, the Longbow King exploded the 5 arrows in a frenzy. The 5 arrows were extremely terrifying. When they exploded together, they could definitely destroy everything. As expected, violent energy instantly enveloped the entire space. The sky shook and the earth shook. This attack could definitely destroy the surrounding hundreds of thousands of miles. However, this was the tomb of a saint. At this moment, wisps of the saints will appear in the tomb, suppressing the entire world. That was why the saint's tomb was not destroyed. However, the space in the cave kept shattering. The others no longer dared to snatch the black worms and fled one after another. Longbow King quickly retreated into the tunnel behind him. Xing Tian, on the other hand, was completely engulfed by the violent energy. Humph! Let's see how you die this time. In the tunnel, Longbow King's expression was ferocious. Even though his opponent had broken through his 7 gods archery technique, the final victor would still be him. No matter how strong the other party was, it was impossible for them to withstand such a terrifying explosion. The experts from the other holy lands and great sects left one after another. This explosion was too terrifying. It would take a while for the energy to dissipate. There was no need for them to stay here. Therefore, they all set off towards the front. After flying for a while, a spacious hall appeared. This hall was very big and incomparably tall. The ceiling above was filled with a starry sky map. It was mysterious and unfathomable, as if it was a real starry sky. At this moment, many people had gathered in the main hall. However, it didn't seem crowded, because the palace was too big. At this moment, all the major forces had set up camp. However, they were not in a hurry to set off. Instead, they were resting and recovering their strength. Although they had only passed through 2 caves, it was extremely dangerous. The battle was very intense. Many holy lands and great sects had lost their disciples. Even the saints and elders had expended too much of their energy. Therefore, they were all recovering at this moment. Lin Xian and the others naturally took up a spot as well. When Lin Xian arrived, many people looked over. Among them, the people from Tai Dynasty were shocked. Damn it, what's going on? Why is that kid here? Did Longbow King fail? They were puzzled. They had already sent Longbow King to hide in the dark and assassinate him. With Longbow King's unparalleled archery technique, it should have been easy for him to kill the other party. But why didn't he succeed? They couldn't figure it out. Longbow King hadn't returned yet. The others also looked over. When they saw Lin Xian's pale face, they were also puzzled. What's wrong with that kid? Is he injured? That's not right. I didn't see him attack earlier. These people were also puzzled. Among them, the 5 elements saint, 9 firmament saint, 1,000 thunder saint. And the others looked over with cold eyes. Humph, it's better if that kid dies. They didn't know what injuries Lin Xian had suffered, but looking at his weak state, they were gloating. If Lin Xian couldn't recover, they would find a chance to kill him later. Murong Qingcheng naturally saw this scene. She hurried over and asked with concern, "Brother Xian, what's wrong?" When they left, Lin Xian was still fine. Why did he seem to be suffering from a serious illness in such a short period of time? I've exhausted my soul. Let me recover. Lin Xian's voice was weak. Fortunately, his soul had begun to recover. However, he couldn't use the heavenly secret divine eyes for the time being. Palace Master, here's a purple soul pill. It's used to recover soul power. Elder Wang walked over, took out a palm-sized jade gourd, and poured out a pill. The pill was the size of a walnut. It was purple in color and had golden pill patterns on it. The moment it appeared, waves of pill fragrance wafted over. It attracted everyone's attention. Then, one by one, they cried out in surprise. Heavens! That's a purple soul pill. It's a sacred medicine for recovering soul power. I didn't expect them to have such a divine pill. These people were envious. Murong Qingcheng also ran back and asked for some sacred medicine for one of their elders. Brother Xian, these are 2 drops of spirit congealing water. It's very beneficial for nourishing soul power. Spirit congealing water. Elder Li and the others were moved. They also knew that this was a type of sacred water from the Jade Lake. It was very precious and not inferior to their purple soul pill. Lin Xian took it and swallowed it. The surrounding people were even more envious, especially the saints, princes, and the young masters of the various large families. Their eyes were red like those of rabbits. Damn it, why does this kid have so many divine pills and miraculous medicines? Moreover, he's able to obtain the favor of a peerless saintess like Murong Qingcheng. This made them jealous to death. The eyes of the people from the Jade Lake sacred ground also flickered. To be honest, they usually wouldn't give this kind of spirit congealing water to outsiders. However, they knew that Murong Qingcheng and Lin Xian's relationship wasn't shallow. Moreover, they also discovered that Lin Xian's strength wasn't simple. He was extremely mysterious. That swordsmanship moved them. Chapter 2435. They had also realized that Lin Xian's strength was not simple. He was very mysterious. His swordsmanship had moved them. They had also heard of the immortal palace behind him. They knew that it was an organization that was not weaker than the sacred ground. Therefore, it was very beneficial for them to be on good terms with him, especially now that they were in the saint's tomb. It was safer to work together. After swallowing 2 types of divine medicine, Lin Xian's face was much rosier. He heaved a sigh of relief, then squinted his eyes and asked, "Why isn't Xing Tian back yet? Is he all right?" "Don't worry, Palace Master. Xing Tian is definitely fine," Elder Li and the others said with a smile. They were very clear about Xing Tian's strength. He was a very terrifying existence. Lin Xian nodded. Indeed, Since the old palace master had asked Xing Tian to protect him, it meant that Xing Tian's strength was definitely recognized by the old palace master. Thinking of this, he was no longer worried. Instead, he looked around. Sensing Lin Xian's gaze, the five elements saint and the others snorted. The other saint's eyes also flickered. However, at this moment, someone exclaimed, "Damn it, what happened?" Everyone turned their heads to look. They saw a gourd in the old man's arms suddenly crack open, and black worms crawled out. How is that possible? They came out again. Damn it! The old man was furious. The gourd was his secret treasure. How could it not trap the black worms? Oh no, it's the will of a saint. In the next moment, his face changed because the worms were emitting the will of a saint. Although it was very weak, it was enough to make them shudder. Ka ka ka. Not only the old man, but the five elements sect, 9 heavens sacred ground for symbols sacred ground, and a large family behind him. The black worms that they had captured had all broken the seal and crawled out. Each worm carried the will of a saint. They crawled toward the cave as if they were being summoned. Damn it, how could this be? The people from the 5 elements sacred ground and 1,000 thunder sacred ground gritted their teeth in anger. Buzz. At the wavering light sacred ground, the wavering light saint suddenly frowned. The replica dragon pattern cauldron suddenly floated above and trembled slightly. Obviously, the black worms inside were resisting. A sage's will was emitted. The Yao Guang saint shouted angrily. He kept slapping the dragon-patterned tripod. The 2 dragons on the replica dragon pattern cauldron seemed to come alive. They emitted a powerful aura and sealed the replica dragon pattern cauldron completely. Suppress, the Yao Guang saint shouted, and the dragon pattern tripod returned to his body. Whoosh. Seeing this, the people of the Yao Guang's sacred land heaved a sigh of relief. However, Leaf Daudenier managed to rise to his feet, his energy and blood surging. Golden light shone in all directions. It was unknown what method was used, but the consciousness of those sages disappeared. On the other side, Murong Qingcheng also had a solemn expression on her face. Clearly, her lotus vase had also suffered from the impact of the saint's will. Fortunately, the lotus vase was an extremely terrifying magic treasure. At this moment, Murong Qingcheng quickly formed hand seals to activate the lotus vase. The lotus flower contained the weak will of a saint. In the end, she also destroyed a trace of the saint's will. Other than them, the other holy lands were not so lucky. The bugs broke out of the seal and flew off into the distance. Angry roars could be heard one after another. Among them, the Grand Xia dynasty used a secret technique to seal again. Apart from that, a few holy monks from the western desert took out a purple bowl and sealed it again. In the Nanling Mountains, a few people in black robes held a black jar. The black bugs inside were also sealed. However, there were no more than 2 people who were able to seal insects. The other great sects of the Holy Lands really didn't have such a sealing treasure. Some chose not to make a move, as if they were hiding their trump cards. After all, they had only been through 2 caves. Some people did not want to reveal their trump cards too early. Therefore, the black insects they obtained all flew back to their original owners. On Lin Xian's side, Elderly frowned. He realized that the bugs he sealed were also starting to fight back. The saints will rushed out again. What should we do? Hall Master? Elderly looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian's eyes flickered as he ordered in a deep voice. He also understood that the people who suppressed the bugs were Holy Land's aristocratic families with extreme grade weapons. The weapons they used to suppress the black bugs were all imitations of extreme grade weapons. Their power was unfathomable. Only then could they eliminate the saint's will. Some of the other Holy Land's aristocratic families did not have such weapons, and some did not take them out. Therefore, those people did not keep the bugs. the immortal palace probably also had such a heaven-defying forbidden weapon that could suppress the bugs. However, Lin Xian did not plan to take it out. Firstly, he did not want to attract the attention of these people and expose his trump cards too early. Secondly, he had successfully tamed 100 bugs. This number added up to more than the total number of Light Shaking Realm, Yi Clan, and the other Holy Land's aristocratic families combined. Therefore, he felt that it was about time. There was no need to expose his trump cards for these 20 to 30 bugs. Elder Li and the others naturally understood this logic. Thus, they waved their hands and released the black bugs. Sure enough, when they saw the black bugs crawling out from Lin Xian's side, the other Holy Land's aristocratic families secretly heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that the immortal palace was not as terrifying as they had imagined. The 5 Elements Saint, the 10,000 Thunder Saint, and the others also snorted coldly, feeling much better. However, these people did not know that Lin Xian now had 100 black bugs in his hands. This number was even more terrifying than the 5 top Holy Lands combined. Moreover, these 100 black bugs had completely obliterated the saint's will. It could be said that they were very safe. If these people knew about this, they would probably vomit blood out of depression. Just as everyone was feeling vexed and jealous about what had happened before, a series of footsteps suddenly came from the front. When they heard this sound, they looked up. Their eyes were like divine red as they locked onto the void in front of them. They had stopped in this hall for 2 reasons. Firstly, they needed to rest and recuperate. Secondly, they needed to think about their next path. This was because there was not only one path that extended from this hall, but 3. These 3 paths were exactly the same. They were incomparably dark and could not be seen clearly. Therefore, they did not know which path to choose. However, at this moment, footsteps came from the 3 paths in front of them. What was going on? Could it be that someone had already entered in advance? Or could it be that something unknown had walked out from inside? They did not know. At this moment, many people stood up as if they were facing a great enemy. Chapter 2436. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and looked into the distance. His soul power had not fully recovered, so he could not activate his heavenly secret divine eyes easily. Therefore, he could not see clearly what was inside. However, he was not anxious because he could hear the footsteps getting closer and closer. It was clear that someone was coming out from inside. Sure enough, before long, countless lights shone from the left of the 3 passages in front of him. Then, a group of people walked out. The person in the lead was a girl. She had big black eyes like crescent moons and looked very sweet. Behind her were many young people and elders. Obviously, this was a very large organization. Xixia's sacred ground. Why did they go in early? Someone immediately exclaimed because they recognized the identity of these people. Lin Xian was also very surprised after hearing that. Whoosh. He also stood up and looked carefully. Xixia's sacred ground. Wasn't that the sacred ground that Shen Jingqiu went to? Murong Qingcheng was also surprised. She pulled Lin Xian and said, "Look, isn't that Qiu?" Indeed, the cute girl at the front was Shen Jingqiu. She was taller than before, and her face was more beautiful. The aura on her body was also unusually strong. When Shen Jingqiu came out, she felt the gazes of countless people. She snorted softly and ignored them. The martial artists of Xixia's sacred ground behind her were indeed a little nervous. They did not expect so many people to come to the main hall. What were these people doing? Why didn't they find a passage to go in? When did they go in? The elders of Wavering Light's sacred ground were puzzled. The people of the Yi family were also asking. The people of the various families and sacred grounds were discussing animatedly. In an instant, all kinds of questions were asked. Suddenly, a hearty laugh was heard amidst everyone's confusion. It was Qiu. Eh. Shun Jingqiu turned her head when she heard that voice. In the next moment, she smiled and her big eyes narrowed into crescent moons. Big brother Lin Xian. She turned into a bolt of lightning and arrived in front of Lin Xian in an instant. Then she threw herself into Lin Xian's arms. That's great. I finally see you. The little girl was so excited that she was about to cry. Everyone around was stunned. They looked at this scene, and their minds went blank. They couldn't believe it. The people of the Purple Afterglow Holy Land were also dumbfounded, as if they had seen a ghost. Firmament, what happened? The holy daughter of the Purple Afterglow Holy Land actually threw herself into someone else's arms? Who was it? They didn't know who had such great charm. However, when they saw Lin Xian, they all gritted their teeth. Damn it, it's this brat again. How could it be him again? Didn't this guy have a good relationship with the saintess of the medicinal herb sect? Why was he able to woo the holy maiden of the Purple Dawn Holy Land? Heavens, who can tell me what's going on? Strike me with a bolt of lightning. Wails of anguish rang out one after another. The people of the Xixia Holy Land were also stunned. The faces of the people from the Jade Lake, sacred ground, also darkened. This brat was too fickle in love. Damn it, I knew that this brat wasn't anything good. In the Jade Lake sacred ground, Zhao Zhuan gnashed her teeth in anger. In this world, it was normal to have multiple wives and concubines. Not to mention multiple wives and concubines. Even a harem of 3,000 concubines would not be a problem. However, have you ever seen someone flirt with 3,000 saintesses? That was simply impossible. There was no difference between having 2 and having 3,000. Every saintess was extremely proud and confident, who would allow themselves to share a man with others. But now, such a thing had actually happened. Heavens, what kind of magic does this brat have? Hee. I guess he must have deliberately hidden it and flirted with the Jade Lake saintess and Xixia saintess separately. Now, this brat has exposed himself. Just wait, the Jade Lake saintess will definitely be furious. There will probably be a great battle, and this brat might be killed. Some people gloated, while others sneered. They guessed that this must be the case. The Jade Lake saintess must not have known about this. They were looking forward to the upcoming battle. However, they were soon dumbfounded. In fact, their eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. That was because they realized that Murong Qingcheng was smiling. He didn't look angry at all. Heavens, could it be that the Jade Lake saintess already knew about this? That was impossible. The Jade Lake saintess was an incomparably proud person. She didn't even like the other saintesses. How could she allow this brat to have a foot in both boats? Even if the Jade Lake saintess was willing, would Xixia saintess also be willing? They didn't believe it. All right, are we meeting now? In front of them, Lin Xian said with a smile. Hearing this, Shun Jingqiu stood up from Lin Xian's embrace. Her little face was red, and she was very shy. Big sister Miss Seductress, you're also here. I missed you so much. Shun Jingqiu held Murong Qingchen's hand and said. This scene was like a clap of thunder that made everyone dizzy. Oh my heavens! What was the situation? Why were the two of them so close? Could it be that the two women really wanted to share a husband? But damn, these were two saintesses. They had never seen such a thing before. It had to be known that these holy lands and large sects had existed for many years and had produced many saintesses. But they had never heard of two saintesses falling in love with the same person at the same time, except for that peerless demon who made the flower protector and snatched more than a dozen saintesses to become his harem. But he was forced to do it forcefully, and those saintesses didn't obediently agree. So they really hadn't seen a scene like this before. Damn. Who the hell was this kid? What kind of charm did he have? How could he do this? These people were crazy. The people of the Jade Lake, Holy Land, and Xixia Holy Land were also stunned. They were so shocked that they couldn't speak. Behind them, those people from the Immortal Palace also widened their eyes. Damn, as expected of the palace master, he was really strong. I admire this method. This was what everyone thought. But at this time, an angry roar came from the distance. Damn, kid, let go of our saintess. This angry roar came from none other than the Xixia Holy Land. Those people from the Xixia Holy Land were stunned, especially those male disciples. They were all gnashing their teeth, and their eyes were filled with killing intent. One of them, a tall and sturdy man, looked in Lin Xian's direction and shouted coldly. Seeing that someone had taken the lead, the other disciples of the Xixia Holy Land also roared. Damn little thief! How dare you blaspheme our saintess? You don't want to live anymore. That's right. How dare you be so rude? We must chop you up and feed you to the dogs. These people roared again and again. Hearing this, the people from the immortal palace couldn't take it anymore. They stood up one by one, emitting a cold aura. In the sky, invisible pressure collided, instantly tearing several black holes, bobbing up and down. It was very terrifying. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they all had playful smiles. Chapter 2437. When the surrounding people saw this, they all wore playful smiles. The 5 elements saint, 1,000 thunder saint, 9 firmament saint, and the others sneered. Let's see what this kid will do. He will definitely be torn to pieces by the people of the Purple Cloud Sacred Land. The people of the Jade Lake Sacred Ground also frowned. However, at this time, Shen Jingqiu turned around and looked at the young warriors of the Purple Cloud Sacred Land. She frowned and said, "What are you shouting for? This is my brother Lin Xian. How can he hurt me?" Hearing this, the surrounding people were shocked. The male disciples of the Purple Cloud Sacred Land almost vomited blood. They were jealous and mad. Their saintess was siding with him. This was intolerable. One had to know that these male disciples had always regarded Shen Jingqiu as a goddess. Some powerful young geniuses had even set their goal of marrying Shen Jingqiu. However, they now realized that their dream had been shattered. Someone had beaten them to it and snatched their goddess. Saintess, you must have been bewitched by this kid. Saintess, you are so high and mighty. How can you be interested in this kid? The others were also gnashing their teeth. Among them, there was a man with an unusually gloomy face. He was burly and had bronze skin. He gave off an unusually strong feeling, especially his eyes, which were very sharp and carried an unparalleled sense of oppression. At first glance, one could tell that he was a very powerful person. At this moment, he stared at Lin Xian and said coldly, "Kid, I'll give you a chance. Get away from our saintess. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." When these words came out, everyone's expression changed. This was because there was an endless amount of purple chi between heaven and earth. Bailey, don't go too far. Hearing this, Shen Jingqiu's small face turned cold. Saintess, this guy is not a good person. You'd better stay away from him. Bailey, he was very powerful. Although he was not a saint, his talent and strength were also very powerful, especially his identity. He was the grandson of the 4th elder of the Purple Cloud Sacred Land. The 4th elder was an elder with real power in the Purple Cloud Sacred Land. He was very terrifying. Moreover, his cultivation was terrifying. He had reached the level of an invincible king. Therefore, Bailey, he had been very arrogant since he was young and did not put his peers in his eyes. Moreover, no one dared to provoke him. After all, he had an invincible king, level grandfather. No one would easily provoke him. This allowed him to develop a rather strong personality. Now he was even pointing fingers at Saint Girl Xixia. There was even a trace of unquestionable authority in his words. His tone made Shen Jingqiu frown. Lin Xian also furrowed his brow. Who is this fellow? How dare he be so rude to Qiu? Were the people of the Purple Afterglow Holy Land so unruly? Forget it, Brother Lin Xian, just ignore him. Shin Jingqiu shook her head. Seeing that Lin Xian was ignoring Shin Jingqiu and chatting with each other, Bailey, he was so furious that he nearly vomited blood. When had he ever been looked down upon like this? In his eyes, although he was not a chosen, he did not think that he was weaker than a chosen. Therefore, he had always been high and mighty. But now, he was actually being ignored? Ah, damn brat. You dare to ignore me? I'll kill you. Bai Li's body emitted a terrifying murderous aura. However, at that moment, a young man walked out from beside him. Senior brother Bai Li, there's no need for you to kill him. I can do it. He was also a handsome young man. His eyes were long and narrow, and they flickered with a cold light. Of course, he appeared to curry favor with Bailey. At this moment, he stood out and looked ahead with a sneer. Brat, you're too reckless. How dare you provoke our senior brother Bai Li? Go to hell. Whoosh. He rushed over. One slash. Lin Xian did not move. Instead, he shouted coldly. Hearing this, Hu Yidao's body swayed, and he stood out. Go to hell. The young man's face darkened. Was Hu Yidao looking down on him by not fighting with him? Roar. He roared angrily, and an extremely terrifying aura rushed out of his body. He struck out his palm. In the sky, a large purple palm appeared and quickly descended. The terrifying aura made people tremble, and the entire void cracked. Humph! Looking at this scene, Hu Yidao was expressionless. When the large purple palm approached, he pulled out the full moon scimitar from his waist. Buzz, buzz. 2 half-moon scimitars flew out. One of them slashed on the large purple palm, and a thunderous sound was heard. The space between heaven and earth shattered, and the large purple palm was split open by the scimitar. Whoosh! The second slash directly sent the young man flying. What? How could he be so powerful? The young martial artist from the purple cloud, Holy Land, narrowed his eyes. He did not expect that his attack would be split open by Hu Yidao's scimitar, and now he was in danger of being killed. Ah! He roared angrily, and the purple chi around his body surged, forming a purple shield in front of him. Bang! A low sound was heard, and the purple shield was torn apart. The young martial artist spat out blood and flew backward. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were in an uproar, especially those from the purple cloud Holy Land. Their faces darkened. Who is this person? What a terrifying saber technique. Bailey, he also roared angrily. Damn it, who are you? He did not expect that Hu Yidao had such a powerful saber king by his side. Immortal Palace, Hu Yidao. Hu Yidao stood proudly. His expression became extremely gloomy. How dare you be rude to the master of Immortal Palace? Kneel down and accept your death. His voice was like thunder, exploding in all directions. You're courting death. Bailey, he was also angry. Hu Yidao wanted him to kneel down and accept his death? No one in the younger generation dared to say that. He took a step forward, and the aura on his body suddenly burst out. Not only that, but a few powerful young martial artists also came out from behind him, and their eyes were cold. On the opposite side, Hu Yidao sneered. Behind him, Ghostly and Peacock also walked up. The 100 elite martial artists were all filled with murderous aura, forming a terrifying pressure. This scene shocked everyone. Many people swallowed their saliva. Bailey, he was also stunned. How could there be so many experts on the other side? He did not dare to make a move. Although he was powerful, the 3 people in front of him each had a terrifying aura, and they were not weaker than him. Moreover, there were more than 100 elites behind them. Who was this kid? What was Immortal Palace? Why had he never heard of it? In his opinion, he did not think that Immortal Palace was a holy land, because such an existence was known to everyone in the world. However, he had never heard of Immortal Palace, so in his opinion, Immortal Palace should be a small sect. Moreover, These people were too arrogant. How dare they call themselves immortal? Were they not afraid of being attacked by others? However, although Bailey he had never heard of a mortal palace, the pupils of the elders of the purple cloud, Holy Land shrank when they heard the name. They were all shocked and doubtful. Could it be that immortal palace? Chapter 24:38. Could it be the immortal palace? Had they appeared? The elders of the purple cloud, Holy Land were shocked. They had heard some legends about the immortal palace, although it was very vague and there was very little information. It proved that it was an existence that was not weaker than a peerless Holy Land. Moreover, it had a long history and was very terrifying. If it was really the immortal palace, then they could not easily start a war with them, because if they did not handle it well, it would be a war between the two Holy Lands. They could not bear the consequences of that. Moreover, it was not a wise choice to provoke such a terrifying force for no reason. More importantly, their saintess had a very good relationship with the immortal palace master. Thus, when they thought of this, the elders immediately came to a decision. An old woman shouted in a deep voice, "Stop! What are you doing? Are you rebelling?" Hearing this, the young male warriors of the purple cloud, Holy Land, trembled, and a look of shock appeared in their eyes. Their elders had actually stopped them. What was going on? Could it be that their elders were afraid? Or was there another reason? They could not understand. Bailey, his face was also ugly. He said, "Elders, they are too arrogant." "Shut up." The elders' faces also darkened. Although Bailey, his identity was special, they could not allow him to be presumptuous. After all, no matter how strong Bailey he was only a young figure. These elders would not give him face. Bailey he was so angry that he vomited blood, but there was nothing he could do. Indeed, he was arrogant, but that was only in front of the younger generation. Towards these elders, he was still respectful and reverent. He had no choice but to grit his teeth and stand back. However, his eyes were incomparably cold as he stared at Lin Xian. He swore that as long as there was a chance, he would definitely kill this kid secretly. However, the elders of the purple cloud, Holy Land, stood out. They walked forward and looked at Lin Xian. "Are you really the immortal palace master?" "Yes, I am." Lin Xian nodded. He was not particularly arrogant. Of course, he was not overly modest either. His current status was even higher than these elders. "Granny Qian, he is the brother Lin Xian I was talking about," Shen Jingqiu said from the side. "So it's Palace Master Lin. Elder Qian, you are too polite." Ling Xian smiled. Seeing this scene, the cultivators from the purple afterglow Holy Land were shocked. They widened their eyes in disbelief. Their elder was actually so courteous to a brat. This made them look like they had seen a ghost. Even Bailey, his face was gloomy. He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. At the front, Elder Li and the others also stepped forward. They looked at Granny Gon and asked in confusion, "Fellow Taoist, what did you find in the tunnel? What were the mysteries behind these three paths?" Hearing this, everyone pricked up their ears and listened carefully, because they also wanted to know what these three paths were. Elder Qian said, "We only entered the leftmost path and turned back halfway because there was a powerful formation mechanism. With just our family's power, it's very difficult to contend against them. That's why we've come back to prepare for a joint operation. As for the other two paths, we don't know, but come to think of it, it should be about the same." Hearing this, everyone's expression turned solemn. They knew how powerful the purple afterglow Holy Land was. A formation that even they couldn't contend against must be especially terrifying. Thus, for a time, everyone discussed spiritedly and discussed countermeasures. Which path should they choose? Should they gather their strength and take one path, or should they split their strength and take three paths? "Big Brother Lin Xian, which path should you take?" Chiu wants to go with you. Shen Jingqiu looked up and asked. She had just seen Lin Xian. How could she bear to leave? Murong Qingchen was also waiting at the side. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was smiling. He hadn't decided yet because Elder Li and the others were still discussing. Elder Li, if we split into 3 teams and encounter special dangers, can we resist them? Lin Xian asked. No problem. We all have secret treasures on us, and I also think that we should split into 3 teams. After all, no one knows where these 3 paths will lead to, but I'm sure that one path is correct. Therefore, if we split into 3 teams, our chances of winning will be greatly increased. All right, let's split into 3 teams. We'll do it as before. Elder Li will take the middle team. Elder Wang and Elder Lu, you'll take the left and right teams respectively. Yes, the 3 elders agreed. Shen Jingqiu also cheered. All right, I'll take the middle path with Big Brother Lin Xian. Big Sister Miss Seductress, can you come with us too? She grabbed Murong Qingqing's hand. Okay, Murong Qingqing was shocked. 2 peerless beauties, 2 saintesses, snuggled up to Lin Xian and were so obedient. This scene made many people jealous. Even the saintesses and princes were envious. However, at this moment, Bailey, he spoke again. Saintess, you can't do that. What ability does that kid have to protect you? It's too dangerous for you to stay there. You should take the left path with us. With me around, I'll definitely be able to protect you. The elders of the Purple Dawn's sacred land did not say anything because Bailey, he had spoken their minds. Shen Jingqiu was their saintess. They were indeed worried about letting their saintess go with someone else. After all, the death of a saintess was a serious matter. Even if she was injured, they would not be able to bear it. How dare he question the immortal palace, who Yi Dao and the others snorted coldly and were about to refute. At this moment, the sound of footsteps came from the passage in front of them again. The footsteps were unusually heavy. The others turned their heads one after another with puzzled looks on their faces. Someone else is coming? Who is it? Isn't the main force here already? They looked over in confusion. Soon, a huge figure appeared in the passage in front of them. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and his figure was tall like a god of war. His body was covered in blood. At this moment, his killing intent was still surging, shattering the void. This scene was really shocking. Who is this person? How terrifying. Seeing this scene, many people cried out in surprise. Isn't he the person next to that kid from Immortal Palace? Why did he come so late? What did he do earlier? Everyone was puzzled. They naturally recognized that the person was one of Lin Xian's guards. Look, he's holding a head in his hand. It seems that he has been through a great battle earlier. Who did he fight? Everyone was discussing animatedly. The people of the Purple Dawn's sacred land also frowned. Their eyes were fixed on this figure. The tall figure, who looked like a god of war, came in front of Lin Xian and said respectfully, "Young master, it's done. Well, very good." The corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up into a smile. Seeing the scene, the people of the Purple Dawn sacred land were shocked. They did not expect that such a terrifying figure was also Lin Xian's subordinate. In particular, Bailey He and the others' faces were gloomy. The next moment, they screamed and their bodies trembled. Chapter 2439. That was because Xing Tian turned around and threw the black object in his hand. The object streaked across the sky and landed in front of the Tai dynasty. Ahead, everyone saw clearly that this thing was actually a human head. Throwing a head at the Tai dynasty? What was going on? Was there hatred between the two sides? They didn't know, but they knew that a good show was coming. The 5 elements Saint Sun, 10,000 Thunder Saint Sun, and the others sneered. They felt that Immortal Palace was too arrogant. Not only did they offend them, they even dared to offend the Tai dynasty. One had to know that this was the central state. Although they were in the Great Xia dynasty, it was easy for the Tai dynasty to send an army here. Weren't these people from Immortal Palace afraid that they wouldn't be able to leave? What a reckless guy! The 5 elements Saint Sun sneered. The 10,000 Thunder Saint Sun also snorted. How could a mere head scare the people from the Tai dynasty? What a joke! The others had the same thought, but they were soon stunned. To be honest, the people from the Tai dynasty were also stunned. When they saw Lin Xian return safely, they were puzzled. What was the Longbow King doing? Now that they saw the other party throwing a head at them, the people from the Tai dynasty were furious. The other party dared to provoke them in public? Did they really think that they wouldn't dare to fight? However, when they saw the head on the ground, their bodies stiffened, as if they were struck by lightning. Everyone's eyelids twitched wildly, and a chill rose from the bottom of their hearts. That was the Longbow King's head. Damn it, how was that possible? The people from the Tai dynasty went crazy. The Longbow King was killed, and his head was cut off. They couldn't believe it. Naturally, the others also noticed this scene, and they all screamed, their faces full of shock. That was the Longbow King's head. Heavens, the Longbow King was killed. Are you talking about the famous Longbow King of the Central State? The Longbow King? That's right. Other than him, who else could it be? Exclamations came one after another. When the people from the Purple Dawn Holy Land heard it, they gasped, especially the young warriors. Their scalps went numb. This was at least at the almighty level, and it was a terrifying almighty. His archery skills were strong, but he was easily killed by the other party. Thinking of this, their bodies trembled. Before this, they actually dared to go against such a terrifying person? Wasn't this courting death? Bailey's expression was extremely ugly. Damn brat, you actually dared to kill Longbow King. You're courting death. The people of the Tai dynasty were furious. This time, they were all on the First Prince's and the Empress's side. Therefore, it was natural for them to oppose each other. After Lin Xian heard this, he sneered. What? You can send people to assassinate me, but I can't kill your people? This is just a warning. If there is a next time, don't blame me for killing all of you and the First Prince. At this point, a cold, killing intent surfaced in Lin Xian's eyes. The hearts of the people around were beating wildly. The young martial artists shrank their necks. The people of the Tai dynasty had ugly looks on their faces. The other party was too domineering and arrogant. However, the other party was so powerful. They sent Longbow King because he was a long-range attacker. Even if he was surrounded, he would be able to escape easily. However, now the other party was killed. Moreover, he was not killed by the other party. It seemed that he was killed in a one-on-one duel. This made the situation serious. They looked at Xing Tian with a hint of fear in their eyes. Needless to say, this was definitely a terrifying and peerless expert. Humph! Just you wait, this matter is not over yet. The people of the Tai dynasty gritted their teeth. They were incomparably cold, but they did not attack immediately. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were even more shocked. The other party had already thrown the head in front of the Tai dynasty. This was a blatant slap in the face. With the strength of the Tai dynasty, they would definitely counterattack immediately. This was because no dynasty would tolerate such a slap in the face. However, the Tai dynasty tolerated it and did not attack immediately. What did this mean? This meant that the Tai dynasty was afraid of the other party. For a moment, everyone looked at Lin Xian and the other members of the Immortal Palace with a hint of fear in their hearts. The young martial artists of the Purple Dawn Holy Land gasped. They decided that they would never challenge the other party to a duel again. Of course, except for a few people like Bailey, the 5 Elements Saint, the 10,000 Thunder Saint, the Tuoba family, and the others looked gloomy. They felt that they had to find a way to kill the other party. Otherwise, if the other party continued to grow, he would definitely become an unimaginable enemy. The death of the Longbow King caused a huge commotion. Everyone was shocked. It was not until a long time later that everyone came to their senses. Not long after, the Yi family and the Wavering Light's sacred land prepared to move and entered the 3 tunnels ahead. Among them, the Immortal Palace was divided into 3 teams. Lin Xian's team was going to take the middle tunnel. In addition to the members of the Immortal Palace, Murong Qingcheng and Xin Jingxiu were also following Lin Xian. Previously, the people of the Purple Dawn Holy Land and the Jade Lake Sacred Land were still worried. However, after Longbow King was killed, they tacitly agreed. They would let the 2 Sanuses stay with Lin Xian for a while. After they finished the 3 tunnels, they would bring the Sanuses back. The other sacred lands, great sects, and royal families also sent their teams. Most of them chose to take the form of 3 teams. After all, they did not want to miss any of the tunnels. Of course, there were a few extreme people who chose to take one of the tunnels. This was because their strength was relatively weaker. If they split up again, they might not have a chance at all. Let's go. Everyone moved and walked toward the 3 tunnels ahead. At the same time, in the second cave behind them, Yan Ruyu and the others from the Demon Imperial Palace appeared again. They wondered what would happen in the second trial. The martial artists from the Demon Imperial Palace were excited, but when they arrived, their expressions changed. From all directions, from the sky to the ground, there were black insects everywhere, pouncing toward them. Get lost! An expert from the Demon Imperial Palace roared. He stretched out his palm, which was covered in scales, and slapped a group of insects away. How dare mere insects block the path of the Demon Imperial Palace? The person snorted disdainfully. However, he was soon stunned. Not only him, but the surrounding martial artists from the Demon Imperial Palace were all stunned. Even Hua Tiandu and Yan Ruyu furrowed their brows. That was because they realized that the black insects that were blasted away did not receive any damage at all and crashed into the wall. Then they crawled over again. That was way too bizarre. That strike just now was more than enough to tear an ordinary almighty being into pieces. How could those insects be unharmed? They could not believe it. The person who attacked was stunned, but soon they screamed in pain. That was because a few of their armor had been bitten open, and their flesh was a mess. Damn it, get lost! They roared, and a majestic power rushed out of their bodies. Chapter 2440. Damn it, get lost! They roared angrily, and a majestic power rushed out of their bodies. Some of them even attacked crazily. However, although they could block the attacks, they could not hurt those insects at all. How could this be? Hua Tiandu and Yan Ruyu both frowned. Damn it! An old man exclaimed. This old man was very strange. He had 2 antlers on his head that were covered with mysterious runes. At this moment, he exclaimed, "Those don't seem to be insects." Not insects? Then what are they? Yan Ruyu was puzzled. The old man with 2 antlers became excited. Puppets! Those are mechanical puppets. Moreover, they're made of dark night demonic gold. Oh my God! We're rich! What? Dark night demonic gold? Is it a material to make a heaven-grade treasure? The people of the Demon King Palace were all excited. On the other side, an old man with a python tail shook his head. Don't be careless. If there's really such a good treasure, the humans won't leave it behind. They'll definitely take it away. There are traps, dangers, or mechanisms here that we don't know about. Everyone be careful here. As soon as he said that, everyone nodded in agreement and became careful. Indeed, in their opinion, the humans were very greedy and would not give up such a treasure. Roar, boom. Suddenly, an angry roar came from the front. Then, the black dragon turtle walked out again. It was like a small black mountain, and it had an aura that made people tremble. What's that? Yan Ruyu and the others were shocked. Could it be that it's also caused by dark night demonic gold? Thinking of that, they gasped and their eyes turned red. Go, under Hua Tiandu's order. A burly man walked forward. That man was also a half-demon with green scales on his body. At this moment, his claw was like a beast's claw that descended from the sky. It was like a green mountain that pressed down from the sky. Bang! The large green palm directly slapped the black dragon turtle, causing an intense collision. However, the half-demon man was the one who screamed in pain. His palm was directly pierced through. Blood dyed the sky red. What? The dragon turtle is so powerful. The people of the Demon King Palace were shocked. Whoosh! Boom, boom, boom. In the sky, a black light flashed, and the half-demon man was sent flying. Damn it! Let's attack. Hua Tiandu's face sank. The experts of the Demon Imperial Palace all made their moves, preparing to subdue the dragon turtle. The others dealt with the insects. Although the black dragon turtle and insects, they were still suppressed by the many powerhouses of the Demon King Palace. They were about to be subdued. However, at this moment of crisis, a majestic force rushed out of their bodies and swept out in all directions. This force caused everyone to fly backwards. At this moment, those elders, Hua Tiandu and Yan Ryu, all felt enormous pressure. Their faces were pale, and their eyes were filled with fear. The will zest no wonder. At this moment, they understood why the humans gave up on these treasures. This was the will of a saint. It was hard to get rid of it. Keeping it by his side was like a ticking time bomb. Who knew when it would erupt? Saint, do you want to use that? The elder with antlers asked. Hua Tiandu's face darkened as he nodded his head. He snorted coldly, and countless runes appeared on his forehead. Those runes all soared into the sky, turned into a mysterious big bell, and pressed down from the sky. The Demon King Bell was a terrifying weapon. Of course, it wasn't the real Demon King Bell, but a defensive product. However, its power was unparalleled. In the blink of an eye, he had suppressed 30 black bugs, capturing them and sealing them completely. As for the rest, they couldn't do anything about it. The people of the Demon King Palace couldn't do anything. But Yan Ryu opened her mouth again. The cyan light swept through the area and instantly captured 30 black bugs, sealing them completely. Then they were put into a box. When the green light appeared, all of them were terrified. Even the replica Demon King Bell was trembling slightly. Let's go. Yan Ryu retracted the green light and said indifferently, these people from the Demon Royal Hall left once again, moving forward. Finally, they arrived at the main hall. Looking at the 3 tunnels in front of them, they narrowed their eyes. There are 3 tunnels. Which one should we take? They began to discuss. They came to the 3 entrances and observed carefully. There was a large amount of aura at each of the 3 entrances. Obviously, the humans had all entered. 2 choices. They could split into 3 groups and enter separately, or they could choose one of them. Everyone fell into deep thought. Yan Ryu formed a seal with her fingers, and a light appeared in her eyes as she scanned the 3 tunnels. Hee. Her lips curled into a smile. No matter what, I must take the middle path. Is there a reason? The elders of the Demon King Palace asked. They didn't find anything special. Yan Ryu smiled. There's no special reason. I just like the middle path. Hearing this, the elders' mouths twitched and they rolled their eyes. However, they didn't dare to say anything. Although Yan Ryu wasn't from the Demon King Palace, her identity was too special. They didn't dare to provoke her. They had to treat her like how they treated the saints and saintesses. All right, since Ryu said so, we'll take the middle path. Hua Tiandu waved his hand. They set off towards the middle path. Of course, they also sent a small number of people to the other 2 paths secretly. Lin Xian and the others walked into the middle path of the 3 paths. They were wearing battle armors that shone brightly. Most of them didn't activate their king's domain. After all, it consumed too much spiritual power. Moreover, no one knew when there would be a big battle. Therefore, they usually wore battle armors and released their light for a while. Logically speaking, with so many of them, the light from each of them should be like the sun, illuminating an area. However, it wasn't possible in this tunnel. They could only illuminate an area of 1 or 2 meters around them. Further away, it was dark as if there was a mysterious force suppressing them. The ancient tomb of a saint definitely had the means of a saint. It wasn't something that they could imagine. Therefore, Lin Xian and the others advanced carefully. On the right, Murong Qingcheng held his arm, and on the left, Shen Jingqiu held his hand. The three of them walked in front. Behind them, Elder Li, Xing Tian, and the others followed. There were other sacred grounds in front of them, and there were also peerless sects behind them. These forces were all separated by a certain distance to prevent sudden attacks. Fortunately, the journey was peaceful, and they didn't encounter any traps. Everyone was even more puzzled. Could it be that there was something even more terrifying waiting for them in front? Chapter 2441. Could there be something even more terrifying waiting for them ahead? They did not know. But after going through the previous 2 caves, they knew that there was more to this place than met the eye. Whoever dared to underestimate the tomb of a saint would have to face the end of their road. Ah, damn it! What's going on? At this moment, a furious roar came from behind. Hearing this voice, everyone stopped in their tracks. "Be careful," Xing Tian said in a low voice. The energy in their bodies was circulating rapidly, ready to explode at any moment. Lin Xian frowned. Shen Jingqiu and Murong Qingcheng also turned around. What happened? An elder from the great Xia dynasty asked. They realized that the one who screamed was a family from the great Xia dynasty, Shui family. Although they were strong, they were still lacking compared to the great Xia dynasty. And the great Xia dynasty. "We seem to have been ambushed. We're missing one person." The elder from the Shui family replied. "Missing one person?" Hearing this, the surrounding cultivators from the great Xia dynasty frowned. Among them, a cultivator from the 9 heavens holy ground sneered. "What a bunch of trash. You don't even know that you've been assassinated. What did you say?" The elder from the Shui family was enraged. They were already unhappy that they were missing one person. Now, someone dared to mock them? Why, you're not convinced that you're trash? The cultivator from the 9 heavens holy ground sneered. They were not afraid of the Shui family at all. Seeing that it was the 9 heavens holy ground, the Shui family gritted their teeth in anger. But they had no choice. They could not defeat the other party, so they could only look gloomy. The elder from the great Xia dynasty said in a low voice, "Be careful. Don't get ambushed again. After all, the 9 heavens holy ground belonged to the great Xia dynasty. Although it had nothing to do with them, it was still embarrassing for them to be killed for no reason. Yes, we know." The elder from the Shui family had no choice. They did not even know who the murderer was. So they could only grit their teeth and swallow their anger. The group was ready to move again. But at this moment, another scream was heard. "Damn it! No, we're missing one person too." "What?" Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Which family was it? The cultivator from the 9 heavens holy ground sneered again. "Let's see who's so stupid to be assassinated. You're courting death." Pung! A terrifying power surged forth, causing the entire space to shake. The few martial artists who had sneered retreated, vomiting blood. Their faces were filled with terror. The rest of the people from the 9 heavens holy ground roared furiously. "Who was it? Did he not want to live anymore? How dare you ambush us? Humph! Your 9 heavens holy ground is too arrogant." An even gloomier voice sounded. people from the four symbols' sacred grounds. Seeing those people, many people shrunk their necks and did not dare to speak again. This was because the four symbols' holy lands were no weaker than the 9 heavens' holy lands. More importantly, the 9 firmaments' saint wasn't in this passageway, while the 4 sacred symbols' saint was. Therefore, they did not dare to provoke him anymore. The 4 symbols' holy grounds also had fewer people. The others did not even have the time to sneer or mock the 9 heavens' holy ground. Their brows furrowed even tighter. What's going on? If there was one less person in the Shui family, then they might have been assassinated. This was very normal. After all, the Shui family was not very strong. But now, the 4 symbols' holy grounds actually had one less person. This was no ordinary matter. The 4 symbols' holy grounds was a peerless holy ground that was incomparably terrifying. Moreover, the one leading them was the 4 sacred symbols' saint. There were also many elders who could kill under their noses. They did not dare to imagine. Even if the other holy grounds could succeed, they couldn't have done it so quietly. Could it be that there was a terrifying and mysterious assassin among them? At that moment, everyone thought of hell, the mortal world, and other terrifying assassin organizations. Everyone was in danger. These holy grounds and sects checked their own teams. Then, one by one, they exclaimed, "Damn it, why are we missing one?" Us too, the elders of the great Xia dynasty, looked gloomy. Their eyes were red as they scanned the surroundings. Who was it? Get out here. They discovered that their Grand Xia empire had also lost a member. What's going on? Seeing this, Lin Xian's face also darkened. Elderly, check our people. Elderly's gaze swept across, and his face froze. One of the young masters was missing. Who was missing? A young elite martial artist. Elderly said, they were all peerless almighties. They could tell at a glance how many strands of hair each person was missing. Therefore, they were naturally able to notice the obvious absence of one person at a glance. However, this made them even more shocked, because they did not notice it before. If the Shui family did not mention it, they would not even know that they were missing one person. Damn it, what's going on? Lin Xian's face darkened. Elderly, Xing Tian and the others frowned. The Crimson Dragon looked around. Beside him, Shen Jingqiu and Murong Qingcheng were also dumbfounded. Could it be that the top assassin was on the move? Shen Jingqiu narrowed her eyes. She had heard that there was such a terrifying assassin as hell in this world. Could it be that they were here? It shouldn't be them. Lin Xian shook his head. It's not just us. I'm afraid that all the holy grounds and sects in this tunnel are missing one person. No matter how terrifying the assassin from hell is, he wouldn't be able to do this. I'm guessing it's because of what happened in the tunnel. Damn it, we still fell for it. Lin Xian's face was gloomy. They had felt that something was wrong when they had been traveling peacefully. How could the tomb of a saint be so safe? Now all the holy grounds and sects were missing one person. Moreover, it was done silently. This made their hair stand on end. For a moment, no one dared to move forward. Who knew if there would be people missing for no reason? Moreover, those few people didn't even have the chance to scream before they disappeared into thin air. This method was extremely strange. Everyone, be careful! The elders of the holy grounds and sects reminded their subordinates. Then they continued on their journey. Lin Xian also gave them a few instructions. Ruzalong used the needle set. He did not activate the dragon sword field, but he had the Crimson Dragon set up a defensive array. Light flashed, and the group set off again. Not long after they walked, a cold wind suddenly blew in front of them, making everyone's hair stand on end. Not only that, the light on these people's bodies dimmed a lot, as if it was about to be extinguished. Seeing this scene, everyone stopped in their tracks again. They were all shocked and bewildered. They looked around, but they did not find anything at all. What was going on? These people frowned. The Crimson Dragon also howled. Damn, this cold wind can even blow into the array. He was too surprised. The defensive array he set up was incomparably powerful, but now it could not defend against this cold wind. The Crimson Dragon was scared. Kid, this tunnel is too strange. There's probably something we don't know about. Chapter 2442. Lin Xian frowned. At this moment, Shun Jingqiu exclaimed and tugged at Lin Xian's hand. Brother Lin Xian, look. Lin Xian turned around and saw Shun Jingqiu pointing at the ground. He looked at the ground curiously. In the next moment, his pupils shrank. In an instant, the dragon sword field expanded and enveloped all the members of Immortal Palace. This scene made the people from the surrounding sacred grounds puzzled. What did this kid discover? Even Xing Tian, Elder Li, and the others were puzzled. However, when they looked at the ground, their pupils shrank, and they felt a chill in their hearts. Damn it, what is this? They were too shocked because they realized that there was something wrong with their shadows. Where there was light, there would be shadows. Normally, the shadows of ordinary people would be humanoid. Even if these people were the shadows of peerless powerhouses, they would not change. However, it was different now. The shadows under the feet of Lin Xian and the others had strange shapes and were obviously demon-like existences. This was definitely not a human shadow. In fact, everyone suspected that it was not a shadow at all. There was a mysterious thing lurking under their feet. The people from the other sacred grounds, great sects, and royal families also looked down. One by one, they exclaimed, "Damn it, what is this?" The people from the four symbols' sacred grounds were even more decisive. The four symbols' saint snorted and stomped his feet. It was as if an electric hammer had descended from the sky. The entire passageway shook. If it was not the tomb of a saint, this stomp would have destroyed tens of thousands of miles of land. However, although it was the tomb of a saint, the space inside was instantly destroyed. Countless cracks spread in all directions. However, the four symbols saint was not happy at all. This was because he realized that the strange shadows did not receive any damage at all. Damn it, what is this thing? These people were shocked again. They realized that the strange shadows under their feet were moving together with them. It was as if they were really their shadows. However, how was this possible? Some of the shadows were clearly in the form of demonic beasts. Humph! The people from the Great Xia dynasty snorted, and the aura of the Tao of dragons surged towards the terrifying shadows. Whoosh! The people from the Five Elements Palace spewed out terrifying flames and enveloped the shadows. The people from the other sacred grounds and sects also made their moves. Lin Xian also coldly snorted. Countless sword qi slashed towards the strange shadow. The sword qi slashed the ground, creating a clanging sound. Even the void was shattered. With a series of explosions, the surrounding space boiled. When the light disappeared, they heaved a sigh of relief. They found that the strange shadow had disappeared. What was this thing? Were the people who went missing related to this thing? The cultivators of the various holy lands were in a heated discussion. Lin Xian also frowned. He instructed, "All of you, keep an eye on the surroundings. Don't get ambushed by these things again." Although they had chased away the freak's shadow, everyone's heart was heavy. They did not dare to be careless. Who knew what was waiting for them ahead? After walking for a while, he didn't discover anything. The strange shadow on the ground didn't appear again. This allowed Lin Xian and the others to heave a sigh of relief. But at this time, another scream came from behind. This scream was very terrifying. It sounded like the roar of a malicious spirit. Everyone's scalps went numb. Even Shen Jingqiu and Murong Qingqing's faces turned pale. The two of them were a little angry. Who was that? Why was it wailing like a ghost? Lin Xian turned around. Everyone turned around to look. In the next moment, they all frowned because they found that the scream came from the Shui family again. What was going on this time? The elders of the great Xia dynasty also frowned. The elders of the Shui family trembled, their faces full of fear. What was going on? This scene caused the surrounding people to be puzzled. Could it be that something terrifying had happened again? They looked around and found that everything was normal. There were no strange shadows on the ground at all. Those people were not injured either. Could it be that there was one less person? At the thought of this, they looked defeated and quickly counted their own people. When they did the inventory, everyone froze. A hint of fear appeared in their eyes. A chill rose in their hearts. Although these people were Almighty's powerful kings, and some were even peerless Almighties and peerless geniuses. However, at this moment, the chill in their hearts was spreading uncontrollably. What happened to Big Brother Lin Xian? The ones who were the most surprised were Shen Jingqiu and Morong Qingcheng. Because the two of them did not bring their subordinates, they did not know what had happened to Lin Xian's immortal palace. Therefore, at this moment, the two of them were puzzled. However, the others were solemn. Lin Xian's expression was also unsightly. Xing Tian, the eyes of Elder Li, and the others flickered. There was one more person. The crimson dragon swallowed his saliva. Although he was considered an old monster, he had never seen such a strange thing. He was terrified. Damn it! Why is there another person? What? Another person? Shen Jingqiu and Morong Qingcheng were shocked when they heard that. Morong Qingcheng narrowed her eyes. She was a little worried about the people from the Jade Lake Sacred Ground. The people from the Jade Lake Sacred Ground did not enter this passage. Instead, they entered the other two passages. However, she did not know what strange thing had happened. It should not be too peaceful. Shen Jingqiu exclaimed and hugged Lin Xian tightly. The people from the other sacred grounds and dynasties also had solemn expressions. They realized that the same thing had happened to their team. There was one more person. To be precise, there was not one more person. Wasn't there one less person before? Now, their numbers had returned to their original number. The person who was missing had returned. What was going on? At this moment, countless gazes were like heavenly blades, staring at those figures. To be honest, these geniuses and elders had never encountered such a thing. For a moment, they surrounded that person and asked carefully. On Lin Xian's side, Elder Li and the others also asked coldly, "Who are you? Are you a human or a ghost?" The young martial artist who had disappeared and returned was stunned when he saw the strange gazes around him. "Elders, what's wrong with you? What did I do wrong?" He had a blank look on his face. "Humph!" Xing Tian snorted coldly. "Still not telling the truth? Speak. What are you?" At this point, the void above the young man suddenly shattered. A large palm firmly enveloped him and completely sealed him. As long as he made any movements, this palm would mercilessly descend upon him. Sensing the shocking change, the young man's face turned green. He said with a trembling voice, "I didn't do anything. I've been with you all this time. You've been with us all this time? What a joke." Peacock also snorted coldly. "You clearly disappeared earlier, and now you've mysteriously returned. How are we supposed to believe you?" Chapter 2443. Lin Xian, Morong Qingcheng, and Shen Jingqiu were also puzzled. However, the young man felt very wronged. "I didn't leave at all. I've been with you the entire time." He was not the only one. The other sacred grounds, great sects, and the disappeared cultivators also said the same thing. This made everyone extremely puzzled. They had been together the entire time, but they had clearly counted that one person was missing before. These people couldn't have been mistaken. So, they also didn't know what had happened? For a moment, many people used their divine abilities to investigate the other party. Some people even used their ocular techniques. However, they couldn't see anything. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. He had no choice but to activate his heavenly secret divine eyes. A golden light appeared in his eyes. Buzz. He looked at the young man who had disappeared. Buzz. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. He shouted coldly, "Hurry up and do it!" Elderly Xing Tian and the others didn't know why Lin Xian said that, but Xing Tian still made a move. The huge palm above suddenly slapped down and enveloped the young man who had disappeared. "No, Temple Master, you can't kill me. I didn't do anything wrong." The young man's crazy roar alarmed all the people from the other sacred grounds and sections. For a moment, everyone looked over. The cultivators from Immortal Palace also had serious expressions. Many of them even turned pale. Although the situation was strange, they didn't know why Lin Xian didn't figure it out, and directly attacked. Boom! Xing Tian's large palm slapped down and directly turned the young man who had disappeared into a bloody mist. Blood exploded and splattered in all directions. Many people cried out in alarm. However, they soon screamed. The reason for that was because countless black rays of light suddenly flew out from the blood mist and swept out in all directions. Bang, bang, bang. A few of Immortal Palace's cultivators were instantly entangled. Elderly and Xing Tian roared. Damn it! There was indeed a problem. Majestic power rushed out of their bodies. Terrifying divine abilities surged forward and directly enveloped all of Immortal Palace's cultivators. Not good. Seeing this scene, the cultivators from the other sacred grounds and sects also roared angrily. They turned around and wanted to attack. The disciples who had disappeared had strange smiles on their faces. Boom! Countless black rays of light shot out from their bodies like sharp black swords, piercing in all directions. All of a sudden, the people from the various holy lands, sects, and imperial clans were affected, and many of them were injured. Damn it! Attack him! Catch it! Capture him alive! Furious roars rang out one after another as these experts attacked one after another. Boom! Boom! On Immortal Palace's side, Xing Tian continuously released more than 10 palms, blasting apart the void. Heaven and earth shook as a terrifying energy enveloped the surroundings. All of the black lights were sent flying and exploded in the air. They could not withstand the force at all. Whoosh! The piercing black light quickly retracted like a black waterfall. Ah, ah, ah. Some of the weaker ones had their necks wrapped around. Breathing was painful, and there were even traces of blood. The necks of the 2 Immortal Palace disciples were directly snapped. Not only the Immortal Palace, but the cultivators of the other holy lands and great sects were also killed. This scene infuriated everyone. Damn it! It was her hair. These black things were actually hair. Someone roared angrily. Lin Xian also noticed the situation. They discovered that the black light was indeed hair. It was densely packed and endless. It was nauseating. Countless strands of hair enveloped everyone from Immortal Palace. One of them rushed toward Lin Xian, Shen Jingqiu, and Murong Qingcheng. Lin Xian snorted coldly and raised his hand to release a beam of sword light. Pooh! It cut apart those strange strands of hair. Shen Jingqiu released a purple mist that completely enveloped all of the shattered hair. The hair disappeared without a trace. Purple qi from the east. Shen Jingqiu quickly formed hand seals. Countless purple qi formed around her and completely enveloped Lin Xian and Murong Qingcheng. The black hair could not get close at all. Xing Tian elderly and the others quickly made their moves. Although the hair was strange, the people here were all experts. Many of them were peerless powerhouses. Therefore, the hair quickly retreated. They fled into the distance and disappeared. They had to chase after them. Everyone roared angrily. Lin Xian also chased after them with his men. They ran all the way and arrived at another great hall. When they arrived at the main hall, they realized that the hair had disappeared into the void. It was as if it had never appeared. Damn it! The people from the immortal palace roared. Xing Tian even shattered the void with a punch. However, the hair did not appear again. What's going on? Did it disappear? Everyone was puzzled. They looked at the great hall and wanted to investigate the situation. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless white figures suddenly appeared in the surroundings. There was a white figure standing in every direction. The white figures were strange and hazy. They were facing the crowd. They were dressed in white, and their long hair reached their waists. They seemed to be women. There were many similar white figures. They appeared at the edge of the great hall and formed a circle that surrounded everyone. Damn it! What are these shadows? They were puzzled. Many of them did not even see how they appeared. It was as if they appeared out of thin air. What the hell is this? Die for me! A martial artist from the 9 heavens' sacred ground roared. He swung his saber. A terrifying saber light slashed forward and instantly hit the white figure. No! At this moment, a roar of anger was heard. However, it was too late. The saber light had already hit the white figure. Humph, let's see how you die. The martial artist from the 9 heavens' sacred ground sneered. However, in the next moment, his body stiffened and the saber in his hand fell to the ground. His eyes widened and his pupils shrunk to the size of needles. It was as if he had encountered something terrifying. Boom! He fell to the ground and stopped breathing. Damn it, what's going on? What happened? Everyone was stunned. The people from the 9 heavens' sacred ground roared, crazily. Who was it? Who did it? They were going crazy. No one saw it clearly. This person was not attacked at all. How could he be killed? What was more strange was that the young disciple who attacked was a genius. His strength had reached the level of a supreme. It was not easy to kill such a person. Soul attack. This was the first attack that came to everyone's mind. Only soul attacks could appear and disappear mysteriously and kill people without leaving a trace. The people from the 9 heavens' sacred ground looked at Lin Xian immediately. This was because they knew that Lin Xian was a terrifying soul force expert. Many of them were furious and wanted to rush over. However, the elders from the 9 heavens' sacred ground shouted coldly, "Don't be rash. It's not us." There was something wrong with the white figure in front, since the elders had said so. The disciples from the 9 heavens' sacred ground were unwilling to accept it. They asked, "Damn it, what's going on? Are these white figures capable of soul attacks?" Chapter 2444. Damn it, what's going on? Can those white figures use soul attacks? So what if they can? A beauty from the Xiaoyao sect snorted. Whoosh! She opened her mouth and spat out a pagoda. It floated above her head and protected her soul. This was a treasure artifact, and it was an exclusive treasure artifact for soul defense. With it, one could block soul attacks. Break. After that, the beauty from the Xiaoyao sect started to attack. A long rainbow streaked across the void and charged forward. Soon, it pierced through a white figure. Everyone looked over with rapt attention. Many people's eyes were twinkling. Some of them even released their soul power. They wanted to see how strange Yi Chen's soul power was. The pink light pierced through the white figure. However, the next moment, the beauty from the Xiaoyao sect froze and widened her eyes. Her face was full of fear. With a plop, she fell to the ground and stopped breathing. Dead? Everyone was stunned. The people from the Xiaoyao sect looked even worse. Junior sister. Many people rushed over and checked carefully. They found that the other party was dead. What's going on? The others looked even more serious. They didn't find any soul power. If they wanted to check carefully, even if the other party used soul power, they would be able to detect it in an instant. More importantly, it was the pagoda that the beauty from the Xiaoyao sect was wearing didn't receive any attack. She was killed just like that. This meant that it wasn't soul power. Or maybe the other party's soul power was so strong that they couldn't believe it. Impossible. They could feel the soul power of an invincible king. What kind of attack was that? They were going crazy. If they could not decipher these white figures, they would be trapped here for the rest of their lives, unable to leave. Lin Xian frowned. He also found that it wasn't a soul attack. What were those things? Were they ghosts? Shen Jingqiu was scared. Murong Qingqing's face was cold. While everyone was confused, a few people in the crowd spoke. Those were resentful spirits. They weren't using soul attacks, but resentment. An attack that was even more bizarre than soul attacks. What? Resentful spirits. Everyone turned around and looked. They found that the one who spoke was a dozen monks from the Western Desert. Master, can you tell us more about it? That's right, Master. Is there any way to break it? The elders from the great sects all inquired. They thought they saw hope. That was because the monks of the Western Desert all cultivated some Buddhist divine powers, which were perfect for restraining these ghosts and evil creatures. With their help, they might really be able to subdue these vengeful spirits. The monks from the Western Desert nodded. It's indeed possible. Amit Ba, Avalokitesvara. The monks began to chant scriptures. These were not ordinary scriptures, but the great success of Buddhism of the Western continent. It was very profound, coupled with the cultivation of these people. It could be said that its power was boundless. At this moment, everyone thanked themselves for calming down and stabilizing their mental states. How magical! These people were shocked. Lin Xian was also surprised. Although he had never interacted with the monks of the Western Desert, he could tell that these people were indeed extraordinary. In fact, it could even be said to be extremely terrifying. Between heaven and earth, the sound of Sanskrit rang out, bringing with it a mysterious and unfathomable energy. When the white figures heard this, they all let out miserable cries. Their bodies quickly melted like snow under the sun. Then he disappeared. Seeing that scene, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. That was great. Fortunately, the monks of the Western Desert were there. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for them to attack on their own. After all, things like resentment were even more bizarre than souls. If they didn't handle it properly, they would be affected by the power of resentment. Then they might be killed directly, just like the two prodigies from before. Let's go! Let's go! Everyone did not dare to delay. Lin Xian also led the people from the Immortal Hall forward. However, they had only walked halfway when they stopped in their tracks. That was because another figure appeared in the main hall in front of them. It was a white figure, just like the ones from before. However, this time he did not have his back to the crowd. Instead, he was facing them. His black hair covered his face, and his eyes were white. It was a very strange sight. His face was even paler. It was a ghastly sight. Many female disciples cried out in surprise. Shen Jingqiu also cried out in surprise. She grabbed Lin Xian's arm and did not dare to look anymore. Murong Qingqing frowned. This vengeful spirit seemed to be more powerful than the ones from before. Oh, no, it's a 10,000-year-old vengeful spirit. The Western Desert monks were also shocked. The white figures from before were all 1,000-year-old vengeful spirits. Their cultivation bases were not high. They could be subdued. However, they had encountered a 10,000-year-old vengeful spirit. It was an extremely terrifying existence. As expected, they chanted Buddhist scriptures. Mysterious Sanskrit characters floated in the sky, forming a light screen that pressed forward. However, when it was 3 meters away from the white figure, it stopped. It could not go any further. Boom. In the next moment, the 10,000-year-old vengeful spirit raised its head. A strange red light appeared in its eyes. All of the Sanskrit characters in the sky shattered. The Western Desert monks also took a few steps back. Their faces were filled with shock. How terrifying! As expected of a 10,000-year-old vengeful spirit. Seeing that, everyone else was shocked and retreated one after another. If even the Western Desert monks could not deal with it, things would be troublesome. Whoosh whoosh. Everyone took out their treasures and prepared to attack. Lin Xian also called Xingtian, Elderly, and the others to get ready to attack. He had the great dragon sword soul that could destroy everything, so he was not too worried. Even if the opponent was a 10,000-year-old vengeful spirit, he was confident that he could kill it with his great dragon sword soul. However, before he could make a move, another figure walked out from among the monks behind him. It was a young figure. He seemed to be a young prodigy of the Western Desert. "Elder, let me try," the young monk said with a smile. "All right." Seeing that the young man walked out, the monks heaved a sigh of relief. However, the people from the sacred grounds and major sects frowned. What's going on? How can a young monk defeat a 10,000-year-old vengeful spirit when even the elders can't deal with it? They did not quite believe it. Therefore, they were still prepared. If the young man failed, they would use force to attack. The young monk walked up with a smile on his face. It was a confident smile. At that moment, everyone's gaze fell on him. The young monk walked in front of the crowd and looked at the 10,000-year-old vengeful spirit in front of him without saying a word. He stretched out his fingers and pointed one finger to the sky and the other to the ground. He made a very strange Dharma idol. Will that work? Chapter 2445. Wu. While everyone was in a daze, the 10,000-year-old vengeful spirit in front of them suddenly revealed a terrified expression. In the next moment, she knelt on the ground. Her head touched the ground, as if she was prostrating herself on the ground. Even her body was trembling slightly. "Leave quickly. Don't look back. Don't look at her." When the other monks saw this scene, they all called out to everyone. Heavens, what was going on? At this moment, the prodigies and elders of the various sacred grounds, great sects, and royal families were all stunned. Wasn't this little monk too terrifying? He made a 10,000-year-old vengeful spirit kneel. Just by putting on a Dharma idol? This was a 10,000-year-old vengeful spirit. Even the eminent monks of the Western Desert could not deal with it. Now, it was kneeling to a little monk. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have believed it even if they were beaten to death. At this moment, after hearing the reminders from the sacred grounds, Lin Xian and the others quickly walked forward. The people from the other sacred grounds also left one after another. However, at this moment, everyone felt a strange feeling behind them. It was as if someone was watching them. Some of the weaker martial artists even heard someone calling their names. Lin Xian also had the same feeling. Their faces were gloomy, and Lin Xian's expression was even more solemn, because he remembered that the mysterious little monk had told them not to look back. He did not know why they should not look back, but he knew that if they did, they would definitely be in danger. However, at this moment, they had a strong feeling of turning back. Lin Xian, Morong Qingcheng Elderly, and the others were strong and were fine. However, those young martial artists were probably not going to make it. No matter how strong they were still a little lacking compared to the 10,000-year-old vengeful spirit. Therefore, those young martial artists of Immortal Palace were almost unable to control themselves. At this moment, Lin Xian shouted in a low voice. The great dragon sword soul in his body rushed out and circled above their heads, letting out a loud dragon roar. Roar! The great dragon sword soul enveloped all the martial artists of Immortal Palace. Tens of thousands of sword lights descended, cutting off all connections. The martial artists of Immortal Palace heaved a sigh of relief. They felt that the strong calling in their hearts had disappeared. This made them feel a lingering fear. They did not dare to look back and quickly walked forward. However, the others were not so lucky. A few martial artists of Five Elements sect could not help but turn their heads. Not only that, the entire Five Stars Palace was under attack, and so were the people of the Nine Heavens Holy Land. In addition, the Illusion Palace, the Unfettered Sect, and the other Sacred Land clans were also affected. A terrifying power of resentment swept out in all directions. Not good. The Western Desert monk's expression changed. The young monk's expression was grave as well. Unexpectedly, these people still couldn't hold back. Sigh. He sighed and pointed to the sky with one hand and the ground with the other. But this time, he could only protect the people of the Western Desert. Wung, the imitation dragon pattern cauldron, rushed out from the wavering light, Holy Land, stabilizing the sky and protecting the people of the wavering light, Holy Land. In the Grand Xia Empire, dragon-shaped auras also rushed out from the bodies of the elders, forming the true dragon diagram. He resisted the resentment. Other than that, the Five Elements Palace unleashed the Five Elements Mountain while the Nine Heavens Divine Emperor formed 9 cauldrons that floated in the void. At this moment, the clans of the various great sages all unleashed their ultimate techniques. They ran away madly. The vengeful spirit roared and pounced forward. Wung, a ball of Buddhist light, appeared on the young monk's body. Amit Ba, a loud Sanskrit voice sounded between heaven and earth, shocking the 10,000-year-old vengeful spirit. Using this opportunity, everyone was able to escape. When they completely left the temple, the terrifying resentment behind them disappeared. Everyone stopped and heaved a sigh of relief. Their expressions became extremely ugly. Among them, most of the forces were affected. Only the Western Desert, Lin Xian's Immortal Palace, the Wavering Light Holy Land, and the Empire of Skyscrapers were intact. Other than that, everyone had more or less lost their disciples. This made these people's expressions very ugly. They were afraid that this was only the early stage of the saint's tomb, and there were already such terrifying things. Who knew what kind of heaven-defying existence was deeper? On the Immortal Palace's side, Elder Li and the others stood out and bowed slightly in the direction of the Western Desert. The others also expressed their gratitude. They had no choice but to thank the people of the Western Desert, especially the young monk who had intimidated the 10,000-year-old vengeful spirit. Otherwise, the impact they suffered would have been even more serious. They might even have been wiped out. May I know the name of the holy monk? An elder of the Wavering Light, Holy Land asked. Senior, you are too polite. I am a disciple of the Lanrua Temple, and my Buddhist name is No Flower. Lanrua Temple. No Flower. Everyone silently remembered this name in their hearts. Needless to say, this was definitely a saint-level prodigy. Moreover, his physique and bloodline were probably not simple. It was very likely that his background was frightening. That was because a Dharma idol could intimidate a 10,000-year-old vengeful spirit. This was definitely not something an ordinary monk could do. Everyone guessed that the other party should be like the Yi family's sacred body, possessing a peerless bloodline. However, no one knew what kind of physique and bloodline it was. No Flower of the Western Desert. Lin Xian also took a few more glances at the other party. He had to admit that this No Flower was too mysterious. Murong Qingcheng at the side also said that the Lanrua Temple in the Western Desert was also a sacred place. However, he had never heard of this No Flower before. He did not expect him to show such heaven-defying means as soon as he appeared. It seemed that this was indeed a golden age with geniuses coming out in large numbers. I think Big Brother Lin Xian is still the most powerful. Shun Jingqiu at the side squinted her big crescent-shaped eyes and said, Indeed, she was not wrong. Many people looked at Lin Xian's side in shock. This was because other than the Western Desert, Alcade, and Great Xia dynasty, only Lin Xian's immortal palace was intact. However, the Western Desert had the mysterious no flower, the Alcade had the imitation dragon pattern cauldron, and Great Xia had the aura of the Tao of Dragons. What kind of means did Immortal Palace use? They also seemed to have seen a giant dragon hovering above their heads. What was going on? Did Immortal Palace also have the aura of the Tao of Dragons? They could not understand, especially those from Great Xia dynasty. When they saw the dragon-shaped sword Qi, they were even more shocked. That was because the dragon-shaped sword Qi gave them a very shocking feeling. These people were not simple. The people of Great Xia dynasty attached great importance to Lin Xian and Immortal Palace. Among them, the prince of Great Xia dynasty stared at Lin Xian with flickering eyes. No one knew what he was thinking. Let's go. The elder of the Alcade sacred land sighed and took the lead to leave with his people. Everyone followed. Lin Xian also led the people of Immortal Palace forward. A tunnel appeared in front of them again. However, this time, the tunnel was wider. It was like many caves connected together. It was still dark, and the ground was uneven. When everyone stepped on it, cracking sounds could be heard. Relying on the light on their bodies and the radiance of their battle armor, they looked down and realized that there were countless white bones. Chapter 2446. Relying on the light on their bodies and armor, they looked down and realized that there were countless bones. Some belonged to humans, some belonged to demonic beasts, and they covered the ground. They were as white as snow. This was probably not a good place to be. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. They could feel that the resentment in this place was definitely deeper. Could there be 10,000-year-old resentful spirits? These people were extremely nervous and could not help but gather towards where Wu Hua was. Along the way, everyone was shocked. These bones were very fragile and turned into powder when stepped on. It seemed like they had existed for countless years. Among these bones, there were bones that were shining. This was even more shocking. After tens of thousands of years, these bones were still shining. Just how heaven-defying were these people's cultivation base when they were alive? No one dared to imagine. This made them even more careful. In front, their field of vision gradually widened. However, everyone's expression became uglier because there were countless corpses piled up in front of them. Some of these corpses had already decomposed into bones, while some had not decomposed and still had flesh on them. They were densely packed and piled up like a mountain. It made one scalp tingle. Lin Xian and the others knew that these were not ordinary corpses. Any one of them was probably a powerhouse. Why did these people die here? They did not know. Could it be that there was a great battle here in the past? Or was it because of other reasons? These people were all guessing. Elemental grass. At this moment, Peacock exclaimed in surprise. What did you find? Lin Xian asked. Temple Master, I found elemental grass. Peacock pointed at a few black plants in front and said, I heard Ghostly mention this before. It's a very rare spiritual medicine. It has great benefits for people who cultivate the ghost Tao. Ghost spirit wood. The martial artists from South Ridge exclaimed in surprise. Their eyes were burning with passion because on the other side there were a few purple trees growing near the corpses. It must be a treasure of the elemental ghost Tao. Ha ha, then I won't hold back. A martial artist in a black robe sneered. He struck out a palm that covered the sky and grabbed forward. Humph! A cold laugh rang out as a fist smashed into the continent like a meteor. Rumble! The sky shook and the earth shook. The surrounding space cracked. The sky-covering giant hand was sent flying. The meteor-like fist also disappeared in the sky. Damn it, who is it? A black-robed man stood out, his voice cold as his gaze swept across the surroundings. What? You want to fight now? Ask me if I agree or not. A middle-aged man from the Four Symbols holy grounds stepped forward. For Symbols sacred grounds. The black-robed man frowned when he saw this. Humph! Your Four Symbols holy land's reach is too far. This is a death-type treasure. It's useless for your Four Symbols sacred grounds to have it. Useless? Who said it was useless? You also said that this is a treasure. How can it be useless if you sell it or exchange it? That's right. Everyone nodded in agreement. Indeed, even though they didn't practice the darkness element, they could still trade for it. Presumably, after taking it out, those kings who cultivated the ghost Tao of darkness would be more than happy to exchange it with them. However, the faces of the warriors from the South Ridge darkened. There were many black-robed men among them. They were probably cold ghosts. How could he possibly agree to that? To them, this was a supreme treasure. Scram. Otherwise, don't blame me for starting a massacre. The black-robed man shouted coldly. You can try. The middle-aged man from the Four Symbols holy grounds was fearless. Boom. He directly raised his hand and slammed it down. That palm transformed into a huge mountain, pressing down from the sky with boundless power. Courting death. The black-robed man was enraged when he saw this. With a wave of his sleeve, endless black gas transformed into a huge snake in the air. It opened its mouth and bit at the mountain above. Boom, boom, boom. In the sky, cracks appeared on the huge mountain. Then it collapsed and scattered in all directions. These black-robed men were so powerful, they could actually break the Four Symbols holy grounds mystique. The surrounding experts were also shocked. They were from the Myriad Poison cult. Stay away from them. They all carry lethal poison on them. Even a peerless, mighty figure would probably die if they were to fight them. Many people reminded him softly. Hearing this, the surrounding experts felt their scalps go numb. With a whoosh, they distanced themselves. However, the black-robed men sneered. Since you know we're from the Myriad Poison cult, why don't you scram obediently? All of these things are ours now. The surrounding experts' faces darkened when they heard this. What a joke! Although the Myriad Poison cult was powerful, it was only a peerless sect. Everyone here was a peerless sect or a peerless holy ground. Why should they fear the Myriad Poison cult? However, no one made a move because they wanted to see how strong the Myriad Poison cult was. What was there to be arrogant about? On the other side, Shun Jingqiu pursed her lips. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. Peacock, do it. Bring those stalks of Een travel grass over. Yes. Hearing the order, Peacock stepped forward. She formed a seal with her palm, forming a green bottle that floated in the sky. Whoosh. Endless light flew out of the bottle, forming a silver river that swept towards the stalks of Een travel grass. Courting death. This is what the Myriad Poison cult wants. The Myriad Poison cult martial artists were enraged when they saw this scene. One of the black-robed men attacked again. In the sky, a black light lit up and directly cut the silver river in half. Whoosh. A black-robed man walked out. Little girl, it seems like you don't understand our words. Fine, let me teach you a lesson. His voice was filled with boundless arrogance. Judging from his voice, he seemed to be from the younger generation. Courting death, Peacock also shouted. She was also a sky pride. How could she allow others to humiliate her like this? Boom. She directly attacked. Whoosh. With a wave of her sleeve, thousands of rays of light scattered and directly tore through the void. Those rays of light were like sword chi, soaring into the sky and slashing towards the black-robed man. Humph, I'll show you the power of Luo Yen today. The black-robed young man shouted coldly. He pulled out a white bone sword and directly attacked. Clang! The white bone sword collided with the rays of light in the sky, creating a deafening sound. The terrifying sound wave shook the surroundings. It shattered the entire space. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The martialists in the surroundings quickly activated their battle armor when they saw the two young geniuses clashing. Furthermore, the momentum of the battle was so terrifying that they couldn't help but fend off the shockwaves of the battle. At the same time, the disciples of the Five Elements Palace, Nine Heavens Sacred Ground, and other forces also flew out. They wanted to snatch the Een Travel Grass and Ghost Spirit Wood. In an instant, an intense battle broke out. On Peacock's side, the white bone sword was extremely powerful. It cut through the rays of light in the sky. Humph! The black-robed young man, Luo Yen, sneered. You dare to go against the myriad poison cult with such little strength? You're really courting death. Little girl, go to hell. Luo Yen sneered and stabbed out with his white bone sword again towards Peacock. Chapter 2447. No one knew what kind of beast bone was used to make this white bone sword. It was abnormally sturdy. Moreover, it carried a demonic energy. As soon as it appeared, a cold aura blew over, as if hell had appeared. It made one's scalp tingle. Humph! Peacock snorted coldly, and a blurry shadow appeared behind her. Peacock spread tail. Whoosh! The terrifying energy swept in all directions like a wave, and the white bone sword was instantly blasted away. Not only that, Peacock even slapped out with her jade-like hand an endless divine light shrouded Luo Yen. The palm was too terrifying. It roared in the sky like a huge wave, and it covered the entire sky. The two of them fought fiercely. Luo Yen also used his ultimate move. His sword Qi carried a strong corrosive effect. There was even poisonous gas coming out of his body. The poisonous gas could easily poison and kill a powerful being. That scene made everyone retreat, and they did not dare to get close. Fortunately, the illusory figure behind the peacock shone with 1,000 rays of light, isolating all of the poisonous gas. Thousand Demon Eye. Boom. In the sky, the black spots on the peacock's tail rotated, forming demon god eyes, and they emitted a strange and unpredictable energy. Puffed! The black-robed youth, Luo Yen, suddenly vomited blood and was sent flying. His face was abnormally pale. Defeated, seeing that, everyone exclaimed. Luo Yan's strength was terrifying, and his body was covered in poison. It could be said that he was very difficult to deal with, but now he had been defeated so easily. The Immortal Palace's prodigy was too terrifying. Those people were shocked. What kind of divine ability was that? It was so terrifying, like the demon god eyes. That woman was incredible. She seemed to have the bloodline of Mahamayuri. No wonder she was so powerful. Everyone was shocked. Peacock snorted and looked at the poison sect. Who else dares to fight with me for the Een Traversing Grass? Come and die. You're courting death. The other prodigy could not stand it anymore. His body swayed, and he rushed over again. This time, he used a black chain as his weapon. Like a poisonous snake, he attacked Peacock. The two of them fought again. Just as they were fighting, on the other side, the people from the Demon King Palace also walked over. Along the way, they had also encountered a terrifying shadow. Furthermore, there was also one person missing. This scene caused the faces of the people from the Demon Imperial Palace to turn gloomy. Yan Ruyu and Hua Tiandu both had grave expressions because this place was truly too strange. Especially the elders of the Demon Imperial Palace, they all frowned. That's not right. Why does this mechanism not seem to belong to the Demon Clan, but to the Human Clan? They were extremely puzzled. They originally thought that the ancient tomb of the demon race would be much easier for them, but now things were beyond their expectations. The mechanisms and formations along the way did not seem like they belonged to the demon race, but more like they belonged to the human race. But this shouldn't be the case. The two gates outside the ancient tomb were written in the ancient language of the demon race. How could it be a human ancient tomb? This made them extremely puzzled. The journey was fraught with danger. After defeating the strange hare, they arrived at a large hall where they encountered the same white, vengeful spirits. Not only that, but the 10,000-year-old vengeful spirit also appeared in an instant. His hair was disheveled, and his entire body emitted a monstrous aura, causing the martial artists of the demon imperial palace to tremble. The elders' faces were even more solemn. Damn it, it's a 10,000-year-old vengeful spirit. How could there be such a terrifying thing here? The martial artists of the demon imperial palace snorted coldly. Let's attack together and kill him. These people were all hot-tempered. However, an elder shook his head. Don't be rash, don't attack. Vengeful spirits were very strange. They couldn't fight them head-on. They had to think of another way. Let me do it. Yen Ruyu stepped forward. She looked ahead with a calm expression. Poof. She bit her finger and flicked a drop of blood forward. Buzz. The drop of blood was crystal clear, and there were even strange patterns on it. Obviously, it was not ordinary blood. As expected, something strange happened. When the blood appeared and floated in the sky, the surrounding vengeful spirits all let out miserable cries. They all knelt down. The 10,000-year-old vengeful spirit in front of them also knelt down, his body trembling. This scene was very similar to the situation with No Flower, and it seemed to have caused an even greater shock than No Flower. If the martial artists of the sacred ground saw this scene, they would definitely exclaim in shock. Who is this woman? She was too terrifying. A drop of blood could make a 10,000-year-old vengeful spirit kneel. What kind of blood was that? Even the blood of a sacred body could not reach that level, right? The people of Demon Imperial Palace were also shocked, but they soon became excited. Sure enough, Huatiandu also laughed loudly. With a wave of his hand, the group quickly walked forward. Soon, they left the palace. They were getting closer and closer to Lin Xian and the others. On Lin Xian's side, Peacock defeated another two people, causing the myriad poison cult to gnash their teeth. They did not expect that Immortal Palace only sent out a young woman to suppress their myriad poison cult. What a slap to the face. The surrounding people also sneered, as if they were watching a show. Humph, you are very strong, but you dare to provoke my myriad poison cult? You are courting death. Now, go to hell. At this moment, a cold voice sounded. A woman in a black robe walked out. This woman was extremely beautiful, and her eyes were even more soul-stirring. Myriad poison saintess, someone cried out in surprise. Everyone was shocked. They did not expect the myriad poison saintess to make a move. There was a good show to watch this time. Peacock's expression was also serious. She could naturally feel the strength of the other party. Sister Peacock, come back. I will beat her. Behind them, Shen Jingqiu let go of Lin Xian's arm and stood out. What? Peacock turned around and looked at Lin Xian with a questioning look. Lin Xian asked, "Is Qiu okay?" "She is fine. I have wanted to fight for a long time." Shen Jingqiu also looked very excited. Indeed, she did not have many opportunities to fight. Now, she finally had one, and it was the vicious myriad poison saintess. How could she let go of this opportunity? Let her try. Anyway, we are all here. Nothing will go wrong. Murong Qingchen also said with a smile. All right then, Peacock, come back. Yes. Peacock put away the 1,000 demon eyes and returned to Lin Xian's side, standing respectfully. Shen Jingqiu, on the other hand, stood up excitedly. She pointed her jade-like fingers forward. You're that saintess of all poisons? What skills do you have? Bring it on. Little girl, You really don't know what is good for you. Look at how cute you are. When you become a skeleton later, the scene will be very interesting. I have decided that I will seal your skeleton and make it part of my collection. Ah, phooey, vicious woman, take this. Shun Jingqiu shouted and struck out her palm. A large purple palm descended from the sky, sprinkling down millions of rays of light. Chapter 2448. Shun Jingqiu might look cute, but she was not careless at all when she attacked. After all, she was Saintess Xixia. Sure enough, when the divine ability was used, everyone around cried out in surprise. The saints and saintesses also frowned. Her strength was not weaker than theirs. He. The saintess of all poisons sneered. Let me see what you're capable of. As she spoke, her figure flashed, and she rushed over. In an instant, she dodged the purple palm. At the same time, she waved 2 black sleeves, drawing out 2 poisonous snakes that spiraled in the air and attacked Shun Jingqiu. The 2 black pythons in the sky spun and stirred the void, emitting a sinister aura. In an instant, they reached Shun Jingqiu's side and coiled around her. Little girl, your combat experience is not very good. The saintess of all poisons sneered. The others were also discussing. They could also see that Shun Jingqiu's combat experience was clearly insufficient. This Saintess Xixia did not live up to her reputation. She had fallen into her opponent's trap so easily. It seemed that she had not fought many battles. This time, she was probably out of luck. Shun Jingqiu's small face was cold. She snorted and formed a seal with her palms. A cloud of purple gas rushed out of her body and wrapped around her. It spun quickly and formed a purple vortex. The purple vortex spun, and a terrifying energy surged in all directions like a stormy sea. This energy knocked away all the attacks. Seeing this, the people of Immortal Palace breathed a sigh of relief. Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing's expressions also eased a lot. The martial artists and elders of the other sacred lands were also discussing spiritedly. It seemed that although she was not very experienced, she was still a saintess. Her strength could not be underestimated. Indeed, the strength that Shun Jingqiu displayed was definitely at the saintess level. It was just that her combat experience was slightly weaker. However, unless a real saint or saintess attacked her, it would be difficult for others to suppress her. This time, the one who attacked Shun Jingqiu was indeed the saintess of all poisons. The saintess of all poisons was also surprised when her attack was repelled. Then she sneered. Not bad, little girl. You actually dodged it. However, you may be able to dodge it this time, but can you dodge it next time? Humph. Shun Jingqiu snorted coldly and quickly made her move. Purple chi revolved around his body, forming 9 purple moons above him. The 9 purple moons rotated, stirring up the void, and 9 purple vortexes appeared. The space around her shattered, and the 9 moons radiated boundless divine light as they charged toward the saintess of all poisons. 9 moons connecting the skies. This was a great divine ability of the purple afterglow holy land. The surrounding people also cried out in surprise. Sure enough, the 9 moons spun in the sky. The saintess also stopped smiling. She felt a great pressure. It was as if the sky was pressing down on her, and all the bones in her body were making cracking sounds. Humph! The myriad poison saintess decisively took action. Her body was suffused with multicolored light that shot into the sky. These were all different types of poisonous gas. As soon as they appeared, they melted the void and surged upwards, wanting to melt the 9 suns together. Boom, boom. When the 2 collided, an earth-shattering sound rang out, and a wave of energy swept out in all directions. Everyone retreated, putting some distance between them. At the same time, their armor lit up. Lin Xian and Morong Qingcheng fixed their gazes on the battlefield. Fortunately, they were relieved to see that Chen Jingqiu and the Saintess of all poisons were evenly matched. The Saintess of all poisons snorted coldly. A dozen black vipers appeared behind her, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws as they charged forward. They clashed with the 9 suns. The battle between the two was earth-shattering. However, no one noticed that the situation around them had changed. The shock waves of energy entered the corpses, as if they were being absorbed. Boom, boom, boom. At first, nothing happened, but after absorbing enough energy, the mountains of corpses emitted low rumbling sounds, as if a peerless demon was slowly awakening. An unusually cold and terrifying power permeated the air. The cultivators of the various sacred lands and great sects trembled. They felt a chill run down their spines. However, they didn't think much of it. In their opinion, it was probably the shock waves of the battle between the 2 saintesses that made them tremble instinctively. However, the elders frowned. Something wasn't right. This aura didn't seem right. On Immortal Palace's side, Xing Tian, an elderly, also frowned. Something was wrong. Hearing this, Lin Xian hurriedly said, "Zhou, come back." In the sky, Chen Jingqiu controlled the 9 moons to contend against the Saintess of all poisons. When she heard Lin Xian's words, she launched another shocking attack. The 9 moons connected into one, shooting out a half-moon purple light that directly cut the void in half. The purple light slashed horizontally, slashing toward the Saintess of all poisons, trying to cut her in half. The Saintess of all poisons used her 5-colored poison gas to block the shocking attack. She wanted to attack again, but Chen Jingqiu had already returned to Lin Xian's side. "Big brother Lin Xian, what's wrong? I can still fight. Don't attack first. Something's wrong." Lin Xian stopped Chen Jingqiu and looked around with a serious expression. On the other side, the Saintess of all poisons also felt a trace of cold aura, but she didn't attack. The others who were fighting around her also attacked. They all looked around as if they were facing a great enemy. "Listen, what's that sound?" A 9 Li Dynasty cultivator said with a frown. "Roar, boom." Sure enough, everyone heard an unusual sound, and it was getting louder and louder. Damn it! It's coming from the corpses. The 9 heavens sacred ground cultivators were terrified. What? Inside the corpses? Could it be that there's something alive inside? Is it a zombie? These people were facing a great enemy. These were the corpses of ancient experts. If they were to turn into zombies and come back to life, it would be incomparably terrifying. They didn't want such a thing to happen. However, things didn't go as they wished. The mountain of corpses suddenly split open, and then a few figures stood up. Oh no, it's really turning into zombies. Seeing this scene, the various sacred grounds cultivators felt their scalps go numb. Lin Xian and the others frowned. Armor appeared on their bodies, and light flashed in their eyes. They were ready to attack at any time. What made them heave a sigh of relief was that there were not many people who stood up, only 7 figures. However, these 7 figures didn't seem to be skeletons. They were wearing worn-out armor that looked very ancient. It was full of cracks, as if it would break at any time, but they were wearing it. This strange scene made everyone suck in a breath of cold air. In their hands, they were holding sharp, broken blades. Some were bronze spears, and some were long spears. There were even long blades that were 2 to 3 meters long. These weren't ordinary items, although they were broken and ancient. The aura they emitted shattered the void. Chapter 2449. What were those? Were they ancient people? They frowned and thought that they were zombies or that the bones had mutated. But now, it seemed that it was not the case. Could it be that they were soldiers? An elder of the Yi family frowned. "Een soldiers." The others also had a change of expression. After Lin Xian heard this, he also frowned. He knew that this kind of thing was a very terrifying existence. Although they were dead, they had temporarily come back to life under certain circumstances. What was more terrifying was that these people might have retained their combat strength and divine abilities when they were alive. Once they attacked, it would be extremely terrifying. He did not expect that there would be Een soldiers in the ancient tomb of a saint. Looking at the murderous aura on their bodies, they were definitely not ordinary people. They must have been very powerful kings when they were alive. Buzz. 7 Een soldiers stood there like statues with sharp blades in their hands. Gradually, a trace of sharpness appeared in their grayish-white eyes. Then, the surrounding death aura gathered towards their bodies. Roar, roar, roar. Roars came from their mouths. The 7 Een soldiers seemed to have come to life and slowly moved. Buzz. Among them, one of the Een soldiers waved the long spear in his hand and stabbed forward. His target was the 5 Elements Palace, because at this moment, the people of the 5 Elements Palace were the closest to the Een soldiers. Courting death, the few young martial artists of the 5 Elements Palace roared. So what if they were Een soldiers? How dare they attack the dead? They struck out with the power of the 5 elements and blasted forward. These few were all young geniuses. At this moment, they were absolutely terrifying when they attacked together. Boom. However, what happened next surprised them. All of their 5 elements power was instantly pierced through. A long spear broke through the void and directly came in front of them. No, these people screamed. Their faces were full of horror and wanted to escape. Puff, puff. Time seemed to have stopped. The 3 young geniuses of the 5 elements sect stiffened. Their bodies were pierced by a bronze spear. They were nailed in the void, as if they were candied haws. Drip, drip. Blood dripped, making a muffled sound that made everyone's scalp tingle. So powerful. They were too shocked. These Een soldiers were too terrifying. They killed 3 geniuses in an instant. What kind of method was this? They did not dare to imagine. Damn it, let's attack together. Kill them all. He absolutely could not allow them to absorb any more death energy. The elder of the Yi family roared. Although Leaf Daudenier wasn't present, the elders and disciples of the Yi clan were still terrifying. They were the clan of the ancients, which was absolutely terrifying. Now that he had struck out, it was truly enough to cause the entire world to explode. Not only the Yi clan, but the Wavering Light Sacred Land had also made a move. Other than that, the 5 Elements Palace, for symbols Holy Grounds, Grand Xia Dynasty, 9 Li Dynasty, 9 Heavens Holy Ground, etc., everyone attacked together, and the terrifying power spread out in all directions. Boom. Immortal Palace's people also took action. In an instant, the few Een soldiers in front of them were submerged by the berserk energy. When the energy dissipated, the 7 Een soldiers ceased to exist. Seeing this scene, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. The warriors from the Holy Land sneered. What kind of Een soldiers are they? They have no power to fight back against us. That's right, there are so many of us. What can a mere 7 Een soldiers do to us? These people threw their heads back and laughed. However, before they could finish laughing, a low voice suddenly sounded. An even colder aura appeared. Then all around them, figures stood up one after another. They wore broken armor and held sharp blades in their hands. The cold aura on their bodies swept through the world, causing people to tremble. 1, 2, 3. The more they looked, the more frightened they became, because at this moment there were hundreds of Een soldiers around them. Although they were not as numerous as them, the Een aura they emitted was too terrifying. Moreover, it seemed that more Een soldiers were awakening. Damn it, run. This seems to be a place to hide corpses. Countless powerhouses were buried here. These people seemed to have been killed, and their resentment was very strong. Now that they were resurrected, who knew what crazy things they would do? Run. An elder of the Tuoba family roared crazily. The elders of the other families also changed their expressions. At this moment, no one dared to stay here, and left one after another. However, among them, a few people from the Myriad Poison sect used black chains to shroud the ghost spirit wood. It seemed that they were reluctant to part with it. Not only them, but the people from the Nine Heavens, Holy Lands, and Five Elements Palace also charged toward the Yin-shaped grass. However, Lin Xian was faster. He asked the little white monkey to snatch the Yin-shaped grass. Little White's figure flashed and directly pulled out 3 Yin-shaped grasses, then disappeared into the void. Ah, damn monkey, I'm going to kill you. The people from the Five Elements Palace and Nine Heavens, Holy Lands roared crazily. On the other side, the people from the Myriad Poison sect sneered, because they had snatched 2 ghost spirit woods. Buzz. Crack. However, at this moment, one of the ghost spirit woods was strangely broken, and 2/3 of it disappeared into the void. Damn it, what happened? The people from the Myriad Poison sect were stunned. Ah, they roared crazily. Who is it? Come out. They naturally knew that someone was secretly snatching the ghost spirit woods. But what kind of method was this? Appearing out of thin air and snatching more than half of the ghost spirit woods. They did not even know who the enemy was. At the front, Lin Xian revealed a smile. The little white monkey held more than half of the purple ghost spirit woods and kept jumping. Lin Xian waved his hand and kept all these things into the black earth. Let's go. He quickly left with Shen Jingqiu, Murong Qingcheng, and the people from Immortal Palace. Boom, boom. The corpse storage ground was too big. There was a long passage in front of them, and there were corpses on both sides, surrounded by endless resentment. At this moment, Yin soldiers crawled out of the corpses one after another. Only now did Lin Xian and the others realize that these Yin soldiers were too strange. The battle armor they were wearing wasn't real battle armor. Instead, it was formed from cold resentment through the power of some kind of life. Even their weapons were the same. It was as if the white bones of vengeful spirits were bound by some kind of powerful force in the armor, forcing them to fight. What kind of power was this? This kind of power was beyond their imagination. Soon, the army of Yin soldiers moved and scattered all the sacred ground sections. These forces were separated by countless Yin soldiers, and they could only fight for themselves. In an instant, a fierce battle broke out. Everyone fought with the Yin soldiers, and the battle was earth-shattering. However, no matter how they fought, they were at a disadvantage. These Yin soldiers were not living creatures, and they could condense after death. After the martial artists of the sacred ground and the geniuses of the great sects were killed, they could only die here. Therefore, for a moment, no one dared to continue fighting. They could only grit their teeth and escape. Chapter 2450. It was the same for Lin Xian and the rest. Lin Xian unleashed the Dragon Sword realm, which enveloped everyone and transformed into an azure dragon. Inside, Xing Tian, elderly, the other elites, including Brother Morong, poured all their energy into the azure dragon. The divine dragon swung its tail. Invincible, all the Yin soldiers in their way were sent flying. Their speed could be said to be extremely fast. It was the same for the Yi family. Countless geniuses and elders of the Yi family shone with golden light, which shot into the clouds and formed a golden giant. They sent the Yin soldiers flying. On the other side, the wavering light sacred ground had the wavering light sage leading the way. The dragon pattern cauldron was above their heads. and tens of thousands of rays of aura hung down. The Een soldiers in the sky were sent flying. The other sacred grounds and sects also joined forces and left quickly. These were not ordinary people. After the initial panic, they organized an effective counterattack. However, it didn't take long for Lin Xian and the others to slow down. Finally, they stopped. This was because there were 5 figures in front of them. These 5 figures were very similar to the Een soldiers from before, but they were different. The armor on their bodies was more solid, and there were even ghostly inscriptions on it. 2 of them were even riding war horses. However, they were not living creatures. They were Een horses. They were formed by resentment. Damn it, these are not Een soldiers. They are Een generals. Their abilities are far above the Een soldiers. Sure enough, as soon as these 5 Een generals attacked, they beat everyone back repeatedly. Buzz. The dragon pattern cauldron vibrated and let out a dragon roar. Lin Xian's azure dragon shadow also roared into the sky. In an instant, a terrifying sound wave swept across the entire space. If they wanted to move forward, they had to kill these 5 Een generals. Elder Li, Xing Tian, defend yourselves. Qing Cheng, Qiu'er, don't move. I'll go and kill him. Lin Xian's body swayed, and he rushed over. Elder Li and the rest stayed where they were, fighting against the Een soldiers around them. On the other side, the wavering light sage also rushed over. On the Yi family side, an elder of the Yi family attacked. Out of the 5 Een generals, there were only 2 left. In the Great Xia dynasty, a young man in white walked out. He was the prince of the Great Xia dynasty. At this moment, he also attacked one of the Een generals. Qiu'er, wait here. I'll deal with the last one. Murong Qingqing's body swayed and charged the last Een general. 5 powerhouses against 5 Een generals. In an instant, the heavens and earth. However, this was the tomb of a sage after all. Such a violent attack actually did not cause any damage to the surrounding mountain walls. This made everyone amazed. Everyone knew that only a saint could do this. A saint's skills. Lin Xian leapt into the air and charged at an Een general in front of him. That Een general had a tall and straight figure. He wore a black battle armor with ice-cold runes flickering on it. A of you yang you use of you, sword of the fire. Lin Xian was the first to attack. A black flaming sword slashed down from the sky, and a vast aura surged out like waves. Evil beings were afraid of fire, so in Lin Xian's opinion, the sword of fire should be able to restrain it. However, the result was far beyond his expectations. The Een general was incomparably cold. He waved the black spear in his hand and thrust it forward. The black radiance was like a river of the underworld, meeting the attack head-on. The 2 of them exploded, releasing an aura of ice and fire. Soon, the sword of fire was blocked. Commander Een struck out with his spear again. The terrifying spear light transformed into a black dragon, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. It tore through the void and charged forward. Sword of water. Lin Xian's long sword swept horizontally, and the water that filled the sky trapped the black dragon. Earth sword. The earth split open as 3 stone swords shot out from the ground and charged towards the Een general. Boom, boom. The sword of earth landed on the other party's body, releasing a sonorous sound that shook the heavens and earth, tearing apart the void. However, the opponent's black armor was very strange. Its defense was very strong, and it forcibly blocked the impact. Humph! Sky-shattering. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian snorted coldly. He did not use the 5-element sword again. Instead, he used the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword. The void in front of him exploded, and an unparalleled force rushed towards the Een general, trying to tear his body apart. Bang! This time, it was finally effective. The Een general retreated 7 to 8 steps, and the black armor on his body exploded. Half of it was shattered, and half of his body was swallowed by the black hole. Lin Xian's pupils constricted, because he realized that there was nothing under the armor. There were no skeletons or corpses. What was going on? What exactly was the scene general? He was dumbfounded. Originally, he thought that there would at least be a skeleton or a rotten body inside. However, the situation was far beyond his expectations. However, what shocked him even more was yet to come. At this moment, the shattered armor was slowly recovering. The endless cold ghost chi in the surroundings gathered towards this side. Mysterious black runes formed and slowly healed. In the end, it was as good as new. Roar. The Yin general let out an angry roar, shattering the void. The cold and powerful aura exploded again. Damn it. How could this be? Lin Xian frowned. He was not the only one. The great Xia prince, the Alcade sage, the Yi family elder, and Murong Qingcheng were all in the same situation. They were all peerless experts. When they attacked, they injured the Yin general. However, the Yin general did not die. Instead, he absorbed the Yin chi and recovered. Could it not be killed? The five of them retreated and confronted the Yin general. They quickly discussed, could it be that they could not be killed? Murong Qingcheng frowned. The surrounding Holy Land martial artists who were fighting against the army of Yin soldiers had ugly expressions on their faces when they saw this scene. This was because not only were the five Yin generals unkillable, but the Yin soldiers around them were also unkillable. Even if they were destroyed, they would soon reassemble and crawl over. It was endless and made them feel hopeless. Impossible. There was nothing that could not die. Even a sage could fall. Needless to say, these Yin ghosts were nothing. The great Xia prince said in a low voice, "There must be a way, but we have not found it." Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He had no choice but to activate his heavenly secret divine eyes. Soon, he said in a low voice, "Attack its heart, its weakness." Hearing Lin Xian's words, the few of them turned cold. Originally, they wanted to attack its head because the vital point was usually the head. However, they did not expect Lin Xian to say that it was the heart. Although they had their doubts, they still nodded when they thought about what Lin Xian had done previously. They would attack its heart. "Yi Tian, come here." The Yi family elder did not continue to attack. Instead, he called a young man over. This was because he felt that this was a good opportunity to train the Yi family's prodigy. Behind them, a young man flew over from the Yi family. This young man was very handsome. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and his body was burly and full of power. As soon as he came, Yi Tian roared, and his body emitted light, making crackling sounds. Chapter 2451. Yi Tian roared angrily as his body emitted light and crackled. The void beneath his feet instantly collapsed. This scene shocked everyone. This young man is so powerful. He seems to be no weaker than the saint. Kill. Yi Tianlu roared, like a demonic god. He quickly rushed over. He threw out a punch as light bloomed. The roars of dragons and tigers were heard, causing heaven and earth to tremble. Boom. This punch was aimed at the Yin general's heart. However, the Yin general dodged quickly, and his head exploded. However, it was useless. The shattered head slowly reassembled, and the armor returned to its original state. Seeing this, the Alcade sage, Murong Qingcheng, and the prince of the great Xia dynasty's eyes lit up. Indeed, the vital point was not the head. From the looks of it, it should be in the heart. Thinking of this, they did not hesitate and quickly charged forward. Yi Tian also attacked again. Lin Xian also held the ancient Dragon Abyss sword and exuded a terrifying sword Dao aura. The five Yin generals opposite him were obviously enraged. They attacked fiercely. Ghostly chi surrounded the sky, and endless resentful spirits accompanied them. Whoosh! A black light tore through the void, and a Yin general appeared in front of Lin Xian. The black spear in his hand slashed down like a heavenly blade. The void shattered and split into two. Lin Xian's body turned cold, and he felt a sense of death. The Yin general's strength was even more powerful than before. However, so what? Lin Xian snorted, and thousands of sword qi rushed out of his body to block the black spear. At the same time, his eyes were like a peerless divine sword that pierced through the void and pierced forward. Crack, crack, crack. Two streaks of sword light pierced through the Yin general's body. It was sent flying. Roar! The Yin general let out a furious roar. Ghostly qi surrounded the sky and tried to repair it. However, it did not succeed this time. The two streaks of sword light stabbed into its body and could not be erased. Not only that, the sword light was erasing the Yin qi on its body. What a terrifying sword qi! What kind of sword technique was that? Everyone was shocked. Even the prince of the Great Xia dynasty and the Alcade saint were astonished by this scene. Lin Xian took a deep breath, his eyes flickering. Most people would have been killed by his two sword lights. The other party was actually fine. As expected, due to the fact that it wasn't a living being, it didn't feel any pain. Even if it was injured, its fighting prowess wouldn't fall. It was indeed troublesome. Buzz. On the surface of the ancient dragon abyss sword, a mysterious rune was unraveled, and the power of the sword qi exploded once again. Demon ceiling, battle song, chaotic pattern, sky shattering. The four ultimate moves were unleashed, and everything in front of him was instantly destroyed. The Yin general was beaten to the point of hovering between life and death. His body was shattered dozens of times. However, the place where his heart was still intact. Therefore, after a dozen times, his body was once again in perfect condition. However, the Yin qi in his body had decreased by more than half. Clearly, he was not unkillable. Every time he died, his Yin energy would be depleted. Even with the replenishment of Yin energy in the surroundings, it was impossible for him to return to his peak state in a short period of time. Roar! The Yin general roared in anger. His eyes shone with a cold light as Yin qi circled around his body. He charged over like a madman, and another fierce battle ensued. God Punisher! Lin Xian shouted coldly and unleashed the 5 ultimate moves of the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword. Between heaven and earth, a mysterious sword light flashed and enveloped the Yin general in an instant. In the next moment, the Yin general's body was cut into hundreds of pieces. His heart, which was the most important part, was also pierced through by the sword. Roar! The Yin general let out an indignant roar. The black armor on his body began to disappear like smoke and quickly melted. Clang! A black bead fell from the sky. There was no corpse, only a black bead. Lin Xian frowned. He waved his hand and summoned the black bead in front of him. His eyes flickered as he looked at it carefully. He saw that the black bead was covered with mysterious patterns. They looked like strange ancient characters. He couldn't understand what they meant. Lin Xian unleashed the great dragon sword soul and unleashed countless sword qi to envelop the black bead. Then he put it away. He would study it in the future. Anyway, with the great dragon sword soul, he could obliterate everything. The black bead wouldn't be able to do anything. After doing all this, Lin Xian looked around. The other 4 battles were almost over. The dragon-patterned cauldron above the Alcade Saints had opened and closed. The terrifying power blasted the Yin general's back. The prince of the skyscraper mansion had an extremely sharp golden sword in his hand. Yi Tian was like a god of war. His fist technique was unparalleled. Murong Qingcheng was like a fairy. There was a lotus flower under her feet, surrounded by countless petals. She was exceptionally beautiful. However, she was also extremely terrifying. In the end, the other 4 Yin generals were also killed. That was great. Seeing this scene, the surrounding martial artists all heaved a sigh of relief. They blasted away the Yin soldiers around them and quickly advanced. Boom! They had just advanced 1,000 meters when a black fist suddenly appeared in front of them. It crushed the void and crashed toward them. The Yi family and the others were walking in front, so the fist directly enveloped them. Yi Tian roared and punched out. Bang! The two collided and made an earth-shattering sound. Then Yi Tian was sent flying. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. He was injured. How was that possible? The Yi family martial artists were shocked and could not believe it. The surrounding people also sucked in a breath of cold air. They all stopped in their tracks and looked ahead in bewilderment. Although Yi Tian was not a saint or a sacred body, he was a young prodigy of the Yi family. His strength was absolutely terrifying. He was definitely not weaker than a saint. Coupled with the Yi family's bloodline and the terrifying body-tempering technique, no one would be able to compete with him in close combat. However, the black fist in front of them directly injured Yi Tian. Who exactly was that? They dared not imagine. Lin Xian, the Prince of Great Xia, the All-Cade Saint, and the other prodigies also frowned. Whoosh! Their eyes were red as they looked ahead. The void in front of them was torn apart by a pair of large black hands. Then a figure walked out. The figure was surrounded by endless black runes. There was even a nether river flowing under his feet. Yin King, an elder of the Yi family, narrowed his eyes. He did not expect that in addition to the Yin soldiers and Yin generals, there was also a Yin King. The Yin generals were already so terrifying. They did not dare to imagine how powerful the Yin King was. Needless to say, he was definitely stronger than a saint. Otherwise, he would not be able to send Yi Tian flying with one punch. The Yin King was not wearing armor. He was wearing an ancient robe. It was also an ancient item. Some parts of it were tattered. His skin was dry and black. It was very sturdy, like black gold. He had a body. Lin Xian frowned. He realized that this was not the same as the Yin soldiers and Yin generals. Previously, they were only wrapped in armor but did not have a body. However, the one in front of him obviously had a body. Chapter 2452. Boom. Just as they were confused and discussing, the Yin King in front of them made his move. He slapped out with his palm, and the nether river under his feet surged. It was incomparably roaring, like a black ocean surging over. It was about to swallow everyone. Quick, defend! An elder from the wavering light sacred ground exclaimed. These people did not dare to be careless and attacked one after another. They collided with the black nether river. In the sky, intense energy exploded, and one black hole after another appeared. Finally, they managed to block the terrifying palm. However, the elders' faces were ugly. This Yin King was too terrifying. He actually retained the divine ability from when he was alive. They could tell that the palm from before was an ancient technique. 1,000 waves palm. The palm was like thousands of overlapping waves. It was very powerful. Humph! The wavering light saint snorted coldly, and Yi Tian's eyes lit up. I don't believe that I can't defeat him. Let's attack together. Lin Xian pulled out the ancient Dragon Abyss sword again and took a step forward. At the same time, Murong Qingqing beside him also came out. Shun Jingqiu also wanted to go up, but she thought about her inexperience and decided not to. She could only cheer from the side. Brother Lin Xian, Sister Qingqing, you can do it. On the other side, the wavering light saint, Yi Tian, and the great Xia prince also walked out. The 5 peerless geniuses surrounded the Yin King in front of them. The surrounding people kept retreating, creating a battlefield. They knew that an earth-shattering battle would erupt. At this moment, everyone was silently watching, because this was a peerless battle. The 5 peerless geniuses were all saints. How spectacular would the scene be when the 5 of them attacked? The young disciples of the various sacred grounds were extremely excited. Even the elders were full of anticipation. Whoosh! The Yin King in front of them did not speak, but his body emitted an incomparably terrifying aura. Buzz, Lin Xian, and the other 4 tensed up. They felt a great pressure pressing down from the sky. It was as if a starry sky was about to tear their bodies apart. Boom! The nether river under his feet suddenly spun like a black tornado, sweeping in all directions. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian and the other 4 tried to defend themselves. However, the water droplets flew in all directions, even though the Styx River was torn apart. Some of the Holy Land martial artists were touched by these water droplets and immediately screamed. They were actually killed by a drop of water. Corpses fell to the ground one after another, and blood dyed the ground red. When the surrounding people saw this scene, their faces were filled with horror. They retreated as if they had gone mad. At the same time, they activated their armor and their strongest defense. Damn it! How could it be so terrifying? They screamed. Initially, he had thought that he would be able to kill the other party with the help of the 5 geniuses. But now, it seemed that the situation was far beyond their expectations. A single drop of the black nether river beneath his feet could kill a genius from a sacred ground. This method was too terrifying. Even the elders of the Holy Lands had ugly expressions on their faces. They set up layers upon layers of formations that enveloped everyone. Immortal Palace, Elder Li and Xing Tian also took Shen Jingxiu and the other martial practitioners and retreated quickly. Xing Tian's face was solemn as he said in a deep voice, "This Yin King was too terrifying. When he was alive, he must have been a world-shaking, peerless figure. Damn it!" Seeing this scene, Lin Xian snorted coldly. The Wavering Light Saint and the others also had gloomy expressions. They did not expect the Yin King to be so terrifying. In the next moment, they decisively made their move. Skies shattering, Lin Xian swung his sword, and the integrated void completely exploded. The nether river was swallowed by the spatial crack. In the distance, the people from the Holy Land heaved a sigh of relief after stopping the nether river's attack. The other saints also made their move. The Yin King roared, and the air around his body surged into the sky. The terrifying power made everyone's scalp tingle. A cold, murderous intent shot into the sky. Humph! Lin Xian swung the Dragon Source ancient sword, and sword chi erupted from his body. He used the God Sword technique again. In the sky, the cold ghost chi was cut into pieces. Dragon Elephant Divine Fist. At this moment, Yi Tian also made his move. His fist seemed to be able to overturn the universe. With a punch, the void collapsed and a violent force surged forward. It was as if a dragon was roaring. Sacred light technique. The Wavering Light Saint used the Wavering Light Sacred Ground's great ability. The sky full of light danced and rushed forward. Golden Sword. The great Xia Prince's aura shone brightly. The golden sword in his hand slashed down mercilessly. It was like a peerless heavenly sword, splitting the sky in half. Flying Flower. Murong Qingqing stepped on a jade lotus, and countless flowers danced around him. They formed a long sword and slashed forward. The 5 Supreme Saints' attacks completely destroyed the void in front of them. Was it over? Behind them, the Holy Land's martial artists watched with rapt attention. He. In front of them, a disdainful sneer came from the sky full of energy. This voice made everyone's scalp tingle. Everyone looked forward. They saw that the violent energy was extinguished by a large black palm. Boom! The large black palm did not stop. It turned into 5 palm prints and slapped toward Lin Xian and the other 4. It was as if 5 dark clouds were pressing down with the power of 10,000 das. Lin Xian and the other 4 looked solemn. They felt that the blood in their bodies was about to freeze. Obviously, this palm was too terrifying. Although it was just a palm shadow, they could not take it head on. Water sword, brilliant light shrouded the sky. Wang Jinzhan, dragon antagonist, water moon lotus platform. Lin Xian and the other 4 unleashed their ultimate skills again and attacked. In the sky, the sound of an intense collision could be heard. The 5 large black palms were mercilessly torn apart. The terrifying divine ability once again charged towards the Yin King. Whoosh! At this moment, 2 more black palms slapped over and destroyed the 5 super skills in the sky. In the sky, a terrifying explosion could be heard. A storm swept in all directions, and the void collapsed. The entire passageway was shaking. Lin Xian and the other 4 retreated, but the Yin King stood in the air like a demon king. Thunderbolts rumbled in all directions. He was not injured at all. Damn it. How could it be? How could he be so strong? Who exactly was he? Could it be that he was an invincible king? The people from the Holy Land were horrified. Even the elders had serious expressions on their faces. They even wanted to attack together and kill Yin Wang quickly. However, they did not do so because Lin Xian and the other 4 had attacked again. Buzz! Lin Xian's great dragon sword, soul circulated crazily in his body. He displayed the 5 elements sword technique to the extreme. The power of the 5 elements flashed in the sky. Those sword lights were filled with killing intent. Boom, boom, boom. The sword lights were extremely sharp. They were like 5 heavenly swords that descended from the sky and completely enveloped Yin Wang. Ha ha! Yin Wang was forced to retreat. The ghost chi on his body surged rapidly. What a powerful sword technique! Everyone behind was shocked. They did not expect Lin Xian's sword technique to become stronger. Mount an embracing seal. Yi Tian also roared and crossed his arms. Chapter 2453. The shadow of a huge mountain appeared in his arms and quickly condensed in the sky. This mountain was too terrifying. It was like a demonic mountain. It was covered with rocks and lush trees. The moment it appeared, it crushed the void and headed towards the king of Yin. Ancient technique, mountain embracing seal. At this moment, it was used by Yi Tian. It was really powerful. Furious dragon sword technique. The prince of the great Xia dynasty held the golden sword in his hand, surrounded by the aura of a true dragon. He struck out rays of golden sword light, which turned into a roaring dragon in the sky. Holy light ball! The wavering light saint raised his hand and struck out a terrifying golden light ball. Although it was only the size of a fist, it was too terrifying. The power on it made even the elders' eyelids twitch wildly. This was the ultimate technique of the wavering light's sacred land. Katop-trick deflection. Murong Qingcheng used the jade pool's great technique. 3 mirrors appeared in the sky. They transformed into 3 half-moons and formed a triangle. The void was mercilessly cut open in an instant. The great techniques of the 5 people once again enveloped the Yin King. Bang, bang. The Yin King was beaten until he was forced to retreat. His body was filled with ghost chi. Even his cold aura had weakened a lot. Seeing the scene, everyone was extremely excited. But soon, the expressions of the elders turned ugly again. This was because they found that although the Yin King was suppressed, his body was not damaged at all. Even his robe was not damaged at all. How could the other party's defense be so strong? Could it be that he was really an invincible king? They were extremely shocked because the strength of Lin Xian and the other four was definitely at the level of a peerless, mighty figure. Moreover, they were very terrifying among the peerless, mighty figures. If the five of them joined forces, even a peerless, mighty figure would not be able to resist. Unless they had surpassed the realm of a peerless, mighty figure and reached the realm of an invincible king. If that was the case, then they would be in trouble. An invincible king was far beyond the realm of a peerless, mighty figure. It was impossible to defeat him. Don't worry, he shouldn't be an invincible king. The elder of the wavering light's sacred land shook his head. If he was really an invincible king, his aura would be completely different. His current aura was still at the realm of a peerless, mighty figure. Thinking about it, he must have a special divine ability. Or there was something wrong with that ancient Taoist robe. Hearing that he was not an invincible king, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, as long as they weren't invincible king tiers, they could be defeated. He believed that with the strength of the five geniuses, it was still possible for them to kill the other party. Wang. In front, Yin King stopped retreating. He clapped his palms together and tore apart the energy storm. At the same time, his turbid eyes suddenly lit up with a white light. Two white flames were emitted and pulsated. It was extremely strange. It looked like a flame, but it was emitting a cold aura. Spectral bone fire. Damn it, he actually managed to condense such a flame. Could it be that he could still cultivate? Seeing this scene, the faces of the surrounding elders turned incomparably ugly. Lin Xian and the other four were also shocked. That was because the impact of the two white flames on them was too great. A deathly threat instantly arose in their hearts. They knew that this was an extremely terrifying flame. They definitely couldn't resist it head-on. They had to think of a way to avoid it. Their opponents' white flames posed a great threat to them. Lin Xian waved his hand, and the dragon sword domain appeared, completely enveloping him. Pung pung pung. A low sound rang out. The white flames that filled the sky collided with the dragon sword domain, emitting the sound of ice and snow colliding. Fortunately, the dragon sword domain was formed by the great dragon sword soul. It was extremely terrifying and could destroy everything. Therefore, although the white flames were terrifying, they were unable to break through the dragon sword domain. However, the opponent's powerful strength made Lin Xian feel even more pressured. On the other side, Murong Qingcheng, Yi Tian, the great Xia Prince, and the Alcade Sage all used their ultimate skills to block the terrifying spectral bone fire. Everyone's face was solemn and abnormally ugly. When the martial artists and elders of the various sacred grounds saw this scene, they were also extremely shocked. Their scalps went numb. The five geniuses were actually suppressed. This was something that they couldn't believe. These were five geniuses, all of whom were sages. Any one of them could suppress the crowd. But now, the five of them were actually unable to deal with Yin King in front of them. What kind of cultivation realm had Yin King reached? What kind of strength was he? They didn't dare to imagine. This person must have been an extremely terrifying peerless figure when he was alive. Many of the elders were shocked. Whoosh! Just as they were discussing, the white flames that filled the sky also pounced towards them. These people were so frightened that their scalps went numb. Hurry up and defend. They all raised their battle armors to resist. At the same time, the turrets, shields, and all kinds of lights lit up. But it was useless. In an instant, many people let out miserable cries. All of their defenses were instantly melted by the white flames. Many experts' bodies melted and were burned clean, not even leaving behind ashes. Damn it, retreat. Everyone screamed and retreated frantically. They were extremely frightened. Only now did they know what kind of pressure Lin Xian, Alcade, and the Alcade sage were under. This was way too terrifying. So many experts were killed in an instant. The power of the white flames was truly terrifying. Elder, should we go and help? A martial artist from the Yi family asked. They looked ahead and were a little worried. The Yi family's elder's eyes flickered as he shook his head slightly. There was no need. Their lives were not in danger yet. Not only the Yi family, but the people of the Nacrolite Sacred Ground, Immortal Palace, and the Great Xia Empire also didn't make a move. They knew that the strength of these geniuses was even more terrifying than they had imagined. They were afraid that these people had not used their full strength yet. In front, Lin Xian and the other four blocked the white flames and began to counterattack. Their strength gradually increased. Lin Xian's sword qi soared into the sky. The huge sword qi was like a divine pillar that pierced the sky, piercing through the 9 heavens. The terrifying light was so dazzling that everyone could not open their eyes. Not only was it spectacular, but it was also extremely sharp. The surrounding white flames were actually extinguished by the sword qi. This scene shocked everyone. This guy was so powerful. He was actually able to extinguish such terrifying flames. Look, the Alcade sage has also made his move. Everyone exclaimed. In front, the Alcade sage's dragon pattern cauldron was above his head, and thousands of auras drooped down. He waved his hand to activate the dragon pattern cauldron, and the 2 dragons on it roared. Countless rays of light scattered down, shattering the surrounding white flames. The great Xia prince's body was surrounded by the aura of the Tao of Dragon, and the golden sword in his hand was even more powerful. A vacuum area appeared beside him. Yi Tian's aura was violent, and his black hair fluttered. A huge golden giant completely enveloped him. The golden giant walked in the white flames, not afraid of the terrifying flames at all. The raging flames surrounded him, but they could not hurt him at all. Chapter 2454. The golden giant walked in the white flames, not afraid of the terrifying flames at all. The raging flames surrounded him, but they could not hurt him at all. Dragon Elephant Divine Fist. He pushed the golden giant and punched out one terrifying fist after another, shattering the void. Countless flames were suppressed in an instant. Murong Qingqing stepped on a lotus flower, countless petals dancing around her. Her hands formed a seal, forming a blue bottle above her head. A stream of silver water descended and surrounded her, extinguishing the white flames around her. The 5 prodigies walked quickly in the white flames and charged forward. In an instant, they arrived near the Yin King. The Yin King roared angrily. He felt provoked. Whoosh! The aura on his body erupted again, and it was incomparably sharp. The extremely cold aura made people tremble. How terrifying! Everyone was shocked. They did not know that a group of people had also stopped in the passage behind them. They were Yen Ryu and the others from the Demon King Palace. They had already seen light in front of them and wanted to speed up. However, at this moment, an earth-shattering aura suddenly came from ahead. It made everyone stop in their tracks. How terrifying! Whose aura was this? Could there be such a powerhouse in the human race? The faces of the martial artists from the Demon King Palace turned pale, and their bodies trembled. Yen Ryu and Hua Tiandu's expressions were solemn. It was obvious that this aura was a great threat to them. The elders also frowned. Their gazes were like divine lamps that streaked across the void and looked into the distance. They were extremely shocked. It was not a human. The others also saw it. This distance was nothing to them. Moreover, there was no array formation. They could see the situation in front of them clearly in an instant. Soon, they sucked in a breath of cold air. Een king, een soldiers. Damn it, how could there be so many een soldiers? There is actually a een king. They were about to go crazy. Didn't this kind of thing only exist in legends? This was probably a place to hide corpses. Look at the corpses on both sides. Something must have happened to kill all these people here. Among them, there was no lack of powerful ancient powerhouses. An elder's eyes flickered. Huitiendu looked around. There were human corpses everywhere. There were no corpses of us demons. Let's not go up first. Let's wait here for those people to deal with the Een King before we go over, the elder suggested, and the others nodded in agreement. There was nothing he could do about it. The aura ahead was simply too terrifying. Yen Ruyu's eyes flickered, but she didn't say anything. However, her gaze was fixed on a figure in the distance. In front of him, Lin Xian and the other four geniuses were all using their trump cards to get rid of the Een King. Heaven-destroying finger, Yi Tian roared. He stretched out a finger and pressed it forward. Boom! A gigantic golden finger appeared between the heaven and earth, crushing down on the void like a huge golden mountain pressing down from the sky. This golden finger was incomparably huge, and there were countless mysterious patterns on it. It was as if it could really destroy the world. Hand of heaven. Murong Qingcheng waved her hand. Her palm was like white jade, extremely sharp, and carried with it a wave of immortal Dao runes. It was as if the palm of a deity was rapidly approaching. This was a great divine ability that was extremely terrifying. It was rumored that it could shatter everything. Divine Dragon 7 steps. The royal family of the Great Xia also made their move. The phantom of a golden dragon appeared beneath his feet, and with every step he took, heaven and earth crumbled. This was a terrifying pace. Sure enough, with every step he took, the Een King retreated a little. Mixed Yuan sacred light technique. The Alcade Saint Sun shot out a terrifying light. Behind him, 108 godly demons circled around him. He looked like a god. This ray of light was simply too sharp. How old was the elder that felt his scalp tingle? 5 elements sword, 5 elements as one. Lin Xian did not hold back. He combined the 5 elements swords into a divine sword and directly charged over. The power of the 5 elements surrounded it, and coupled with the power of the great dragon sword soul, it was truly terrifying. Boom, boom. The Een King was finally beaten back. The white flames on his body and the terrifying Een Qi had dimmed by a lot. It would be extinguished at any moment. That's great. I've finally suppressed it. When the cultivators of the sacred grounds saw this scene, they all cheered. In front, Lin Xian and the other 4 were also chasing after the Een King. Lin Xian held the Dragon Source ancient sword in his hand and swung it. Every sword light contained a dense power of the 5 elements. Pung, 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 pung. The long sword slashed on the Een King, and the sharp sword light shot into the sky. Murong Qingcheng and the other 3 also charged over. The 5 experts surrounded the Een King. God Punisher. On the 30th move, Lin Xian changed his sword technique. A sharp sword light, like a sword from the gods, cut through the void and pierced towards Een King's throat. Puff! The Een King roared, and his body spun. At the same time, the white flames and terrifying Een Qi in front of him condensed into 2 powerful defenses. Clang! The terrifying defenses were broken, and the Dragon Source ancient sword pierced towards the Een King. However, it did not pierce the Een King's head. Instead, it left a terrifying sword mark on his body. Black blood flowed out instantly, and it was incomparably smelly. Lin Xian and the other 4 frowned. Roar! An angry roar sounded. The Een King was furious. He had never been injured before. Pung! Another terrifying attack on the Een King's head sent him flying again. There was even more black blood on his body. The Een King struggled to stand up, wanting to counterattack. The mixed Yuan sacred light technique hit him again, sending him flying. Roar, roar, roar. The Een King charged over like a madman. In the sky, the hand of heaven slapped down mercilessly, sending him flying. The heaven-destroying finger landed on his body, causing cracks to appear on his ancient clothes. His body was sent flying. After a series of attacks, the Een King was severely injured, but he was not dead yet. Not only that, he became even more violent. Whoosh! The Een King pulled out a long black saber from the void. It was more than 10 meters long. Ghost chi surrounded it, as if it was pulled out from the world of death. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. 5 saber lights were shot out. They were incomparably black, like the river Styx. They fell from the sky with dense death energy. Not good. It's the death demonic saber. Disperse, the great Xia prince exclaimed. The others also put up their defenses and tried to dodge. Lin Xian frowned. Why did the death demonic saber sound so similar to the saber technique that Hui Dao used? That's right, it was indeed an ancient saber technique. The death demonic saber was a saber technique that belonged to the demonic saber. It was extremely terrifying. The Een King definitely retained some of his divine abilities when he was alive. The previous Thousand Waves palm and the current death demonic saber were probably his best techniques when he was alive. The great Xia prince explained at the side. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded in understanding. As they spoke, their bodies drew thousands of afterimages in the air. It was impossible to tell which one was real. However, the death demonic saber was too terrifying. The black saber light enveloped the entire space, destroying all the afterimages. Chapter 2455. The death demonic saber was too terrifying. The black saber radiance covered the entire space, destroying all the afterimages. Humph! Clang! A saber radiance slashed at the Alcade Saint, but was blocked by the dragon pattern replica cauldron. Another saber radiance slashed at Morong Qingcheng, but was blocked by the lotus jade platform under Morong Qingcheng's feet. The third saber radiance was blocked by Yi Tian's golden giant. The prince of the great Xia dynasty used the divine dragon steps to dodge the attack. In the end, only Lin Xian was left. Lin Xian did not dodge, but rushed forward directly. The ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand slashed the void and collided with the death demonic saber. The collision of the two caused thunderous sounds to be heard. Countless cracks appeared between heaven and earth, and black lightning fell from the sky. The energy was like waves, slapping in all directions. Is this guy crazy? What is he trying to do? Does he want to fight the Een King alone? When the surrounding people saw this scene, they exclaimed in surprise. The martial artists of the Immortal Palace were also worried. No, the young master seems to want the Een King to use the death saber technique. Xing Tian frowned. Elder Li's eyes flickered. It seemed to be the case. The death demonic saber technique was cultivated by Hui Dao, but it was not complete. Now, the Immortal Palace master saw the complete death demonic saber technique. He must want the Een King to use it completely. Could it be that he wanted to restore the saber technique? Xing Tian also took a deep breath. Not only were the two of them shocked, but the elders and experts of the various immortal palaces were also shocked. They naturally noticed Lin Xian's intention. But soon, some people sneered. An elder of the 5 Elements Palace sneered. This kid is too greedy. Although the death demonic saber technique is an ancient saber technique, it is extremely terrifying. But it is not so easy to master. Yes, an elder of the 9 heavens sacred ground also snorted. This is a heaven-class cultivation technique. So what if you see it once? It is impossible to use the essence and power of the death demonic saber. One must have the corresponding cultivation technique and circulation route to use the death demonic saber. Who does this guy think he is? Does he want to restore the ancient saber technique? The people from the 10,000 lightning holy land also sneered. Up ahead, the Yao Guang sage, the great Xia prince, and Yi Tian also frowned. Murong Qingcheng, on the other hand, looked worried. After blocking the death demonic blade, they also quickly rushed forward, ready to kill the enemy. This was because they did not think that Lin Xian would be able to gain anything from it. Brother Lin, use your final trump card. The prince of the great Xia dynasty said in a deep voice. Good. Lin Xian nodded. His eyes suddenly burst with an incomparably sharp light, and the sword Qi on his body rose again. One dragon after another appeared in the sky, letting out loud dragon roars. At this moment, everyone was shocked, and their expressions changed. The members of the royal family were especially terrified. No way, this is the aura of the Tao of Dragons. How could he have the aura of the Tao of Dragons? Furthermore, it was so terrifying. It was even related to swordsmanship. They were all dumbfounded. The other party was not a member of the imperial family. So, how could he know this kind of cultivation technique? The prince of the great Xia dynasty was also surprised. However, he quickly regained his senses. He used the divine dragon 7 steps to the extreme, and the last step came down from the sky. It was so powerful that it directly shattered the entire void. The death demonic blade's radiance was shattered, and King Yin retreated. Whoosh! Lin Xian made his move. A dragon's roar, and a sword's cry rang out. The terrifying dragon-shaped sword shadow, the power of the 5 elements, and the chaotic heaven destroyer sword rushed over together. Boom! The power of this sword was too terrifying, and it directly destroyed a large number of the death demonic blades. Between heaven and earth, the sword Qi rushed in all directions, and no one could open their eyes. The Yao Guang sage and Murong Qingcheng also used their final trump cards. Thousands of rays of light shrouded the front, and the terrifying energy kept bombarding. After a long time, the bright light in the sky disappeared. In front, the storm also gradually subsided. Everyone looked forward carefully. They wanted to know what happened to King Yin. Great, he was killed. Many warriors of the sacred land of life cheered because they found that King Yin was lying on the ground, motionless and no longer breathing. The white flame in his eyes had disappeared, and the Yin Qi on his body had also disappeared. He became a corpse again. However, the elders of the sacred land gasped. After such a terrifying attack, King Yin's body was not completely destroyed, and only a few wounds appeared. It was too horrifying, but fortunately, King Yin was killed. Sure enough, when King Yin died, the surrounding Yin soldiers and Yin generals also quickly retreated. They entered the corpse one after another and lay down again. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief, and they were ecstatic. Great, they finally chased away those Yin soldiers. Lin Xian and the other also returned to their respective camps with a sway of their bodies. Young master, palace master, seeing Lin Xian return, the people of the Immortal Palace were also very excited because their palace master was too handsome. Shen Jingqiu was so excited that she waved her pink fists. It's not good to stay here for long. Let's go quickly, Lin Xian said. Then he led the group forward quickly. The people of the other sacred lands also left quickly. In the passage behind, the people of the Demon King Palace saw this scene and also said, "Let's go." They also followed closely behind. Otherwise, they would be in trouble if the Yin soldiers resurrected after the other party left. They quickly moved their bodies and followed after him. When the people from the Demon King Palace appeared, The people from the various holy lands and sects frowned, because they felt a new force joining them. In an instant, countless eyes looked over. Lin Xian also turned his head. He was stunned because he saw Yan Ruyu. However, when he saw the strangely shaped cultivators that resembled demons beside the other party, he couldn't help but frown. Elderly said, "Palace Master, they are from the Demon King Palace." Demon King Palace. It was a sacred land in the southern mountains. Most of them were related to the demon race, but they were basically half demons or the descendants of mutated species. Most of these people knew the demon race's great magical powers and were abnormally terrifying. Moreover, their physiques were very strong and were not weaker than the martial artists of the four symbols' sacred lands. They were actually here too. Many people from the sacred lands exclaimed. They did not notice the Demon King Palace before and thought that they did not come. They did not expect them to be following behind. The friends of the Demon King Palace were very free. An elder from the Dayan's sacred lands snorted. "You want us to lead the way while you reap without sowing? There was no such thing in the world." The people of the Five Elements Palace also darkened their faces. The eyes of the others flickered. They were also not very friendly to the newcomers of the Demon King Palace. Firstly, they were humans, and the other party was a half-demon with the bloodline of the demon race. Naturally, the sacred lands saw them as aliens. Moreover, the other party was too cunning. They followed behind them and reaped the benefits without suffering any harm. This made the sacred lands very unhappy. Chapter 2456. Humph! This is the tomb of the demon race's saint. How dare you humans come in? At this moment, the Demon King Palace's martial artists also roared. Hearing this, the other sacred grounds frowned. Demon Saint's tomb? They didn't think so. Who told you that this was the tomb of the Demon Saint? An elder of the Nine Heavens sacred grounds said with a cold expression, "That's right. Look at this place. It doesn't look like the tomb of the demon race at all. This is obviously the tomb of the human race's saint." Bullshit. The gate at the beginning was written in the language of the demon race. How dare you say that this is not the tomb of the demon race? The Demon King Palace's martial artists couldn't take it anymore and roared. Even scales began to appear on some parts of their bodies. Terrifying demon chi spread out from their bodies. All right, stop arguing. It's not good to stay here for long. Let's leave first. The Yi family's people stood out. The Wavering Light Sacred Grounds elder also said, "Let's leave first." With that, they led their disciples and walked forward. Seeing this, the other sacred grounds left one after another. Indeed, who knew if those Yin soldiers would come again? It was better to leave first. Many people snorted coldly and looked at the Demon King Palace with cold gazes. The people of the Demon King Palace also glared. "Palace Master, let's go," Elderly asked. Yes, Lin Xian nodded, but he didn't move immediately. Instead, he looked into the distance. He looked at Yan Ruyu. "What a coincidence. We meet again." "Yes, I didn't expect to see you here." Yan Ruyu also smiled. Her smile stunned everyone around her. Even those Holy Land martial artists who were hostile to the monster emperor before couldn't help but gulp at this moment. What a beautiful woman! Who is this person? Is she the saintess of the Demon King Palace? They didn't know, but she was definitely not ordinary. The young man beside her was the saintess of the Demon King Palace. How did this kid know someone from the Demon King Palace? They looked at Lin Xian with a puzzled expression. Even the people from the Immortal Palace were surprised. "Palace Master?" Elderly looked at him with a puzzled gaze. Lin Xian smiled. "All right, let's go." He glanced at Yan Ruyu again, and then walked forward with Shen Jingqiu, Murong Qingcheng, and the others from Immortal Palace. "Ruyu, who is this brat? Hua Tiandu frowned as he watched Ling Xian and the others leave. There was a cold gleam in his eyes. An old friend, Yan Ruyu said indifferently. She didn't say anything else. Hearing this, Hua Tiandu frowned even more. Old friend? How could the other party have an old friend? The other party's old friend should also be a member of their demon group. Why would it have such a strange relationship with a human boy? Go and find out who this brat is and what his identity is. Hua Tiandu sent a sound transmission to the people beside him. Whoosh. The figures of the 3 experts from the Demon King Palace behind him flashed and disappeared in an instant. This scene was naturally captured by Yan Ruyu, but she did not say anything. Soon, the people from the Demon Monarch Palace also walked forward. After leaving the place where the Yin soldiers were, the Great Hall appeared in front of them again. This time, the Great Hall was clearly divided into many areas, and each area seemed to have an ancient aura. There was something. Seeing this scene, the eyes of the martial artists from the various sacred grounds lit up. They moved quickly. The Great Hall was so big that it was unimaginable. Therefore, these martial artists could not help but speed up. There were fragments here. Not long after, a cry of surprise was heard. One of them was holding a broken shadow in his hand. It seemed to be a fragment of a weapon, and it was very broken. One could tell at a glance that it was very old. However, everyone was extremely excited, because there were Dao patterns on the weapon. This was definitely something good. These Dao patterns were passed down from ancient times. If they could comprehend them and engrave them on their weapons, their power would definitely increase exponentially. Therefore, at this moment, everyone went crazy. They quickly searched the surroundings. Peacock, elderly, bring some people with you, Lin Xian said in a deep voice. Soon, Peacock and elderly led the martial artists from the immortal palace behind them to search the secret rooms. Xing Tian stayed beside Lin Xian. Shen Jingqiu and Murong Qingchen also stayed there. Big brother Lin Xian, let's go take a look too. Shen Jingqiu was also very excited. Okay. Lin Xian smiled and nodded. The group also walked forward. Although there were only 4 of them, the strength of the 4 of them was simply too powerful. 3 saints, 1 super expert, and the Crimson Dragon were enough to fight against thousands of troops. They're talking about that woman again. I'm not going in. Shen Jingqiu looked at the figure in front of her and pouted. She was very unhappy. She pulled Lin Xian back. Big brother Lin Xian, don't go in either. You little girl, are you jealous? Lin Xian smiled and pinched Shen Jingqiu's little face. Shen Jingqiu was very unhappy. Yes, I'm angry. It turned out that in a secret room, not far away, Yan Ruyu and the others were standing there. Shen Jingqiu was very jealous when she saw Lin Xian and Yan Ruyu's expressions. However, Murong Qingchen, who was standing on the side, knew something. She asked, Big brother Xian, is this Yan Ruyu really your old friend? It should be close. I just don't know what her identity is now. What identity can she have? She must be a demon. Didn't you see her with the people from the Demon King Palace? Don't talk nonsense. Murong Qingchen shook her head. Oh, okay. Shen Jingqiu was unwilling, but she didn't say anything. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and didn't go in immediately because he realized that there was a conflict between the people from the Demon King Palace and the Sacred Ground. The people from the Demon King Palace were from the 5 Elements Palace. The martial artists from the 5 Elements Palace snorted. People from the Demon King Palace, get out. This place belongs to the 5 Elements Palace. Get out. Your 5 Elements Palace is too arrogant. You actually dare to show off in front of our Demon Phoenix Palace? Could it be that you want to die? The experts from the Demon King Palace shouted coldly. One of the elders even snorted coldly. This is the ancient tomb of our demon saint. The ones who should get out are you humans. Demon Saint's ancient tomb? What a joke. Don't flatter yourself. What kind of place is this? Does it show the aura of the demon race? This is clearly the ancient tomb of our human race's saint. Look at these ancient ruins. Do you think they belong to your demon race? Other than you demons, I can't see any other demon race here. Humph, you humans always know how to quibble. However, my Demon King Palace will not be afraid of you. If you want to start a war, then fight. A burly man stood out. His body was covered in a bronze light, and he had 2 bull horns on his head. His voice was like muffled thunder, causing the air to tremble. Chapter 2457. Let's fight then. Why should I be afraid of you? The people of the 5 Elements Palace did not back down. No matter what, they were still a peerless sect. How could they be afraid of these demons? Humph, go to hell. A disciple of the 5 Elements Palace attacked. It was a young man. He punched out, and countless stone hands appeared in the sky, blasting towards the people of the Demon Imperial Palace. Courting death. The people of the Demon Imperial Palace were also furious. The other party actually dared to attack them. He was really courting death. At this moment, Hui Tiandu and Yan Ryu did not attack. The elders of the Demon Imperial Palace also did not attack. The bronze bull who spoke before made his move. Boom. He stomped his foot and swung his bull head. His 2 horns suddenly enlarged, turning into dozens of meters and directly smashing into the void. Boom, boom, boom. He smashed all the stone hands in the sky into pieces. Not only that, but its sharp horns also charged forward. Boom. The disciple of the 5 Elements Palace who attacked was sent flying. He spat out large mouthfuls of blood, and many of his bones were broken. What 5 Elements Palace? Trash. If you dare to be arrogant again, don't blame me for starting a massacre. The Oxhead's voice was cold and carried boundless killing intent. Courting death. Another expert walked out of the 5 Elements Palace. This was a woman with a beautiful appearance and wearing colorful clothes. At this moment, her jade lotus was cold, and her beautiful eyes were filled with endless coldness. Xiu waved his hand, and blue light bloomed on her body, forming a continuous wave. Rain fell from the sky. It covered the sky and covered the earth, sprinkling forward. This was no ordinary rainwater. Every droplet was sparkling and translucent, carrying boundless killing intent. They formed a large blue net that enveloped the Minotaur. You want to hurt me with mere rain? The ox head sneered. He punched out, completely tearing the entire sky apart. The rain that filled the sky was impacted by the energy and kept shaking in the sky. However, this was the power of water, and it carried endless killing intent. Soon, the rain pierced through the void and blasted the oxhead's body. Clang, 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 clang. The oxhead kept retreating. However, he was not injured. His physique was simply too strong. Ha ha ha! You want to hurt me with mere rain? You're overestimating yourself. Bitch, go to hell. The Minotaur stretched out a hand and grabbed forward. Ah, the woman's face was pale, and her body swayed. However, at this moment, a golden light appeared within the blue light on her body. A golden saber light burst out of his body and slashed forward. Puff! This saber slashed apart all of the attacks and cut open the opponent's palm. Blood dyed the sky red, and the Minotaur cried out in pain. Damn it, how dare you hurt me? Demon Ox Fist. He was truly enraged. Countless terrifying fists appeared in the sky, smashing down like meteors. The entire sky shattered and shrouded the woman. Boom! The golden saber swung and closed, sweeping in all directions. As the two collided, Countless sparks erupted. Damn it! Go for me! Seeing the scene, the people from the demon royal palace roared in anger. Several powerful demon kings rushed over. Seeing the scene, the people of the Five Elements Palace also shouted coldly and sent out their experts. Everyone fought together, and terrifying energy swept out in all directions. The entire secret chamber was shaking. Fortunately, there was a strong barbaric aura above the secret chamber, which blocked the terrifying energy impact. Otherwise, not to mention the secret chamber, the entire ancient tomb would be destroyed. Huatiendu, come and fight. The Five Elements Saint stepped forward, and the power of the Five Elements spread out from his body. Behind him was a Five Elements mountain. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Huatiendu stepped forward, and the demonic power on his body surged like a vast ocean, shattering the void. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people retreated and distanced themselves. The other martial artists from the sacred grounds and sects also looked over when they saw this scene. Lin Xian and the others narrowed their eyes. Huatiendu, the saint of the demon royal palace. They wondered how strong he was. Whoosh. In front, the Five Elements Saint made his move. Five Elements light flickered under his feet, and his body charged forward like lightning. He struck out with his palm. The golden palm was like a raging wave, shattering the void and shrouding Huatiendu. You want to fight me in close combat? You must be tired of living. Huatiendu let out a long roar, and a purple light circulated around his body. He clenched his 5 fingers into a fist and punched out, colliding with the terrifying golden palm. The battle between the two was very intense, and the eyelids of the surrounding people twitched wildly. Lin Xian also looked over with rapt attention. Wasn't this Huatiendu's physique too strong? Did the demon clan all have such strong physiques? The battle ahead was very intense. Lin Xian's eyes flickered as he scanned the battlefield. Then he looked at a wall. There was a picture on the wall. It was a stone painting with Dao patterns on it. There were a total of 6 Dao patterns. That was really incredible. That was because ordinary broken ancient treasures would at most have 1 or 2 Dao patterns on them, and that was enough to make everyone go crazy. But this stone painting actually had 6 Dao patterns on it, which was absolutely shocking. No wonder the people from the Five Elements Palace and the Demon Royal Palace were fighting. No matter who saw it, they would probably go crazy. Moreover, under the stone painting, there were a few fragments, which were also ancient treasure fragments. Little White, take out those ancient treasures first. Lin Xian grabbed Little White Monkey, and Little White Red used Treasure Basin to take out the 2 fragments. Seeing this scene, the Crimson Dragon laughed. Ha ha! There were indeed Dao patterns. Among the 2 fragments, one had 1 Dao pattern, and the other had 1.5 Dao patterns. These Dao patterns were extremely mysterious, and they were different from now. They were obviously from ancient times. If they could comprehend the secrets and profoundness inside, it would definitely increase their strength greatly. Little White, go get that stone painting and see if you can take it down. The Crimson Dragon said. Little White tried and found that it was impossible. He reckoned that with the Snow White Little Monkey's current strength, he could at most retrieve 2 Dao patterns from thin air. He wouldn't be able to retrieve any more. It seemed that they could only snatch it. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Shun Jingqiu was also very excited. She blinked her crescent-shaped eyes. I'm so excited. Hurry up and do it. I can't wait anymore. This little girl liked to fight now. After all, although she was powerful and had reached the saintess level, but normally she didn't have many opportunities to fight. Therefore, her actual combat experience wasn't very strong. Now, the little girl urgently wanted to fight to improve herself. All right, let's go all out, Lin Xian added. After all, the people around him were all at the level of saints. In addition to Dark Red Shinong and Xing Tian, They were definitely incomparably powerful. Although such a team had few people, they weren't weak at all compared to the two major forces inside. Let's wait and let the people inside exhaust themselves first. When they're almost done fighting, we'll go. Lin Xian and the others flashed and hid in the void, looking ahead. Chapter 2458. The battle in front was extremely intense. No one from the Five Elements Palace or the Demon King Palace was willing to back down. After all, the temptation of 6 Tao patterns was simply too great for them. In an instant, the sky was filled with dazzling light as terrifying auras filled the air. All kinds of weapons collided in the sky, making intense sounds. Every collision tore the sky apart, causing huge cracks to appear one after another. Those who passed by felt their scalps go numb when they saw such an intense battle. They didn't dare to get close at all and stayed far away. Therefore, they didn't know that there was a stone painting with 6 Tao patterns inside. Among them, the 5 Elements Saint and Huatiandu were the fiercest. Both of them were saints and were extremely powerful. If they attacked now, they would definitely be able to destroy one side. The martial artists who were close to them exploded into a bloody mist. Boom! An elder from the 5 Elements Palace was caught off guard and was hit by the shock wave. Half of his body instantly split open. He screamed as his scalp went numb. He immediately retreated. Half of his body was already broken, and his internal organs were exposed. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The elder from the 5 Elements Palace used a secret technique to quickly heal his broken body. Soon, he was back to normal. However, the elder's face was extremely pale. At their level, they could recover from ordinary injuries. At the Invincible King level, they were even more powerful. As long as their soul wasn't destroyed, they could be reborn. It was said that at the saint level, they were even more terrifying. Even if their physical body and soul were destroyed, they could be reborn as long as there was a drop of blood. Although they couldn't do that now, as long as it wasn't a fatal injury, they could still recover. It was just that the consumption was greater. The elder recovered and let out a furious roar. He led the 3 young disciples and charged forward once again. This time, they stared at Yen Ruyu because they realized that there was no one around her. Kill. The elder was an almighty, and the 3 young disciples behind him were also almighty geniuses. At this moment, the 4 of them attacked together, and the scene was extremely terrifying. In an instant, they tore through the void and arrived in front of Yen Ruyu. Yen Ruyu raised her head to look at this scene, and the corners of her mouth curled up in disdain. Buzz. Countless energy gathered behind her. It formed a pair of golden wings. She gently fanned them. Swoosh. The light in the sky turned into golden divine swords that pierced through the void. Boom. Boom. The golden swords that filled the sky enveloped the 4 people. Ah, damn it. The elder from the 5 Elements Palace was sent flying again. There were 6 golden divine swords piercing through his body. His entire body was covered in cracks, and he almost fell apart. As for the 3 disciples behind him, they were killed with a single slash. Damn it, how could she be so strong? The elders of the 5 Elements Palace were stunned. Who was this person? Holy Maiden of the Demon King Palace? But that shouldn't be the case. Even if she was the Holy Maiden, it was impossible for her to severely injure him in one move. When the others saw this scene, they were all stunned. Everyone in the 5 Stars Palace looked at Yen Ruyu, their scalps going numb. Originally, they had wanted to kill this peerless beauty, but now they no longer dared to do so. The strength this woman displayed was even more terrifying than Huatiandu's. In the distance, Lin Xian and the others who were hiding in the void cried out in surprise when they saw this scene. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He did not expect Yen Ryu's strength to be so strong. She had probably surpassed the average saint and reached the level of a top-tier saint. This girl was so fierce. The Crimson Dragon was also shocked. Those golden divine swords made him tremble a little. He carefully sensed and then said, "Kid, this girl is not simple. The bloodline in her body is unusual. I feel that her bloodline seems to be stronger than that of the Demon King Palace's saint, but I don't know what it is exactly." Murong Qingcheng and Xin Jingqiu also looked solemn. Beside them, Xing Tian's eyes flickered. He suggested, "Young master, it's best for us to use a blitzkrieg strategy and escape immediately after snatching the treasures. We can't be entangled with them." He realized that there were too many experts from the two sacred grounds. No matter how strong they were, if they were trapped, it would be difficult for them to escape. "All right, let's wait a little longer. When they're almost done fighting, we'll make our move." Ruzalong set up the array formation later. "Let's work together and not separate. We'll take the treasures directly. After that, immediately use the array formation to teleport. Also, don't use the ultimate techniques of your sacred grounds. Don't expose our identities." "Got it?" Everyone nodded. "You've made me excited." The Crimson Dragon chuckled and grabbed 5 or 6 array formations in his hand. The battle in front was almost over. Lin Xian said in a deep voice, "Let's go." Everyone turned into a torrent and rushed over. The people from the 5 Elements Palace and the Demon King Palace who were fighting in front suddenly frowned, and their expressions became extremely ugly. That was because they realized that a powerful and violent force was surging toward them. Damn it! Oh no! Someone's coming! They wanted to fight back, but soon they were all blasted away. Many people's bodies directly split open. The weaker ones were directly blasted into a bloody mist, and the stronger ones were also injured. In an instant, a vacuum appeared in the entire hall. "Damn it! Who's that?" Those people roared. They did not expect that someone would dare to come and snatch the treasures. That's unforgivable. However, they could not see clearly at all. There were countless black gas in front of them that enveloped everything. The souls and eyes of those elders could not escape at all. "Damn it, get lost!" Seeing the other party rushing over, a person from the Demon King Palace flew up. He had a pair of lightning wings on his back, and his body was surrounded by a sea of lightning. There were scales on his face. It was a thunderbird. At this moment, he was charging toward the black fog in front of him. Before he got close, his body emitted crackling sounds and countless lightning bolts fell in all directions. The sky was directly shattered, and the violent sea of lightning enveloped the black fog. Humph! Go to hell! The Thunderbird was also a powerful genius of the Demon King Palace, and he had the bloodline of a mutated species. Boom! Boom! A low voice sounded, and a palace appeared in the black fog, soaring into the sky. The palace was very hazy, as if it was a demonic palace, and it emitted a monstrous aura. As soon as it appeared, it tore the sea of lightning apart and floated in the sky. Damn it, what is that? Everyone was shocked. However, a ray of light shone down from the black palace and directly hit the Thunderbird, sending him flying. Poof! The Thunderbird spat out blood and flew out, smashing the void. Damn it, why is it so strong? This is the 9 Heavens Sacred Grounds superpower. Everyone looked at the Black Palace and frowned, especially those from the 5 Elements Palace. Their faces were even gloomier. Damn it, you're from the 9 Heavens Sacred Ground. They roared crazily. You're tuning into the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.